Aw, Audacity didn't catch Skiddly Diddly Do. No. All right, everybody. Welcome to Reagan, I believe 79. I think 79.
Set fire to the
Yeah,
rain.
I added the 9 at the end of the VC description.
All right, good, great. I'm going to ignore what's going on with Dallas there. And sadly, everybody missed some funny in the preamble. But that's for us to know and for you to not know. So, before we get any further in the episode, I would like to remind you real quick, if you're watching or listening, that this episode is brought to you by our patrons alike, Adam Harpo, so G, Call Me Zed, Carlos Dragon, J1000, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Rabbit, and Sjorberg. Thank you very much, patrons. And so, we are back to the Logi boys and the Fogveil. You guys went up to Svardis. You bent some bars, lifted some gates. You were donating to some cannons. Don't forget about that. And then you popped down to the Shadow Pass to do a little seancing, where you had a decent conversation with Borobavcha of the Freezing Rains, where she had a couple of things to tell you. To recap for everybody, confirmed that Alestra and presumably everybody else in House Gridarvol is descended from a branch of the High King, presumably Icebreaker Norleaf.
That's the assumption.
She never smelled that guy directly, but it's there. And while she said that she didn't know of any other way known to the ancient dragons to, achieve attunement in dragon sorcery, she did say that something new was going on with Alestra. So I realize now, didn't put too big of a note on that because out of character we knew that, but I think that means in character you guys have confirmation that further work with Dragon Soul is not like, uncovering ancient secrets. It's discovering brand new things. Which is good to know. But like I said, that was technically in the out of character stuff I've already shared. But it's good to know things in character. She confirmed or let you guys know that the men of Norlon were old enemies with not just the Frost Giants, but the Frost Drakes. But that the kin of Corpse Eater Mythideer were feuding with the Iron Demons. And both those things are demonstrably true.
Yeah, that's going to keep
keep that in
Inos
mind for your future relationships with dragons.
That's going to keep Inos up at night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I think there were a couple of points I was thinking about alluding to stuff earlier, but there's a lot of times where I have cool ideas in my head, but a chance to just throw in a little spice just doesn't happen.
We allegedly found a bunch of new pyromancy spells, none of which have been posted yet.
Oh, right, shit, I was going to do that. That's okay.
Sorry.
You wouldn't have time to run through them. Spoilers, it's because the gang decided that if we wrap up things here fully, we may jump to Deathwatch next week.
Yippee!
So we'll figure that out. And then the last thing, which I'll say learned, even though it's kind of more like forms a gap in knowledge, is that Borobarvcha and the Ancient Dragons didn't really know anything specific about the idea of the king who is to come or the uncrowned, the crownless king. That seems to be kind of a legend, a fable,
or a new name?
possibly a metaphor for like the end times. So while it's a larger strike zone, that does at least put you that whatever's going on with the serpent cult, the Path of the Crownless, is that probably emerged in humans sometime decently after the Covenant.
So we've learned they're evangelicals.
You don't know about their, like I said, you don't know about their modern beliefs. Inos had no idea, who the dragon he was dialing.
Nope.
He dialed up a pretty old dragon. Means that her information about new shit not so up to date.
Also learned that
And you discussed handfuls of other stuff.
Also learned she died in a 10-day battle with Agalinda's sword sister. Crazy.
Yes, some specific
The battle,
stuff.
it was legendary.
And so, you guys meander back to Svartus. You can discuss this with any of the other people. Depending on how you guys are feeling, you may be, quote unquote, camping out in the keep or staying, overnight in the windlasses, quarters below deck. I know some of you won't want to do that because even docked, that is still on the ocean.
By some of us, you mean Enos.
I like
Yeah,
being
probably.
I like being on ground. Yes.
Hell, Enos likes being underground if he can manage it.
Yes.
There's probably some cellars and some abandoned, dungeons underneath the keep if you want to find a nice, cool stone cut room to lay down in.
Sorry, now I'm just imagining fucking Enos handing out fucking CD mixtapes, being like, "Nah, you never heard of me. I'm underground, man."
Damn it.
But basically, I don't think anybody had anything come up in, session goals to want to talk to anybody, but you have a, last chance to get any role playing out amongst yourselves, corner any of the NPCs you brought with you and discuss anything before, over the next day or so, the representatives of the different sanctuaries of the free folk will all, meet up. Fiona and her vanguard are here to, secure the site, and she would let you know that even, since they have been aligned, it is incredibly rare for representatives of all 5 sanctuaries to meet in one place at one time.
Ooh, a little bit of history going in them. Making a little bit of history in the making right now. Hell yeah.
Usually they
Noise.
sorry, the joke I thought about was usually they do what you call it, hot seat games. Chess by mail.
Mm-hmm. Is there any
And if you guys don't have any conversations you want to have, don't feel any pressure. It's just like I said, this is your chance to discuss before we get in a big old meeting where I will be rattling off a bunch of new people.
bunch of new people?
No, I don't think Nicola has anything he needs to do.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to have a discussion?
I don't got anything.
Okay.
Actually, no, wait, hold on. This, I don't have to roleplay this out because I feel like it's not very interesting from a roleplay perspective. But Nicola definitely will check on Alestra and make sure you good.
No, she's great. She got a new big sister.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's not comforting.
actually, yeah, no. Alestra probably is pretty fine. She is seemingly
Okay.
quite calm about all this. Mostly, this is just confirmation of stuff she kind of already suspected. With the you guys already were trying to trace the lineage, and obviously she performed the dragon trance, so she has vague idea of what she's doing. And unlike Inos, she did not acquire a new existential crisis.
True. We always knew we hated ice people.
Oh, careful,
That wasn't
careful.
news.
The ice monster.
I mean, no, we feuded with the frost giants too.
These are kind of monstrum. They're
I
calamitous.
don't think it's.
Why is there a double space there? Don't worry, I fixed it. All right. Anything else?
I don't think so. I kind of briefly touched on that Konrad did when they came back kind of ask what happened, and while we didn't go over it in detail, I'm assuming it was a bleh that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Since I did do a recap just now, that I think can double for filling Comrade in as well.
Sorry, like I'm trying to think. Like, unfortunately, I have not done a lot of rain thinking over the wing, so I am not like prepared as I usually am. Well, Inos probably on the way back would probably quietly confer with the royal party and see if they have any thoughts on the what has been said. Okay.
Well, Narissa thinks that it's super interesting. It's very, very historical, the thing you're doing. She probably immediately has to fight the urge to, like, ask Inos to, like, try and contact, any old dragon bones she has lying around. Because obviously it takes a lot of, timing and effort to work it out. And a little bit of prep. But, shit. It's obviously very interesting, but like I think Narissa's practical enough that she's not going to go around like she wouldn't go around calling Alestra like little sister, right? Like the point of linkage is so incredibly distant,
yeah,
that for like purposes of lineage, it's not really productive to think about.
Oops.
But like it's definitely very interesting, and actually, I love rolls. Enos, roll me just a tiny little bit of empathy.
Just a wee bit.
Little bit.
Damn. Okay.
How we doing? Whoop. In our tab. Okay. 10s. All right. You can tell Dallas doesn't read the chat.
Oh, sorry.
I'll call him out. I get him. Anyway,
Thank you, Omega. I was about to lose my fucking mind.
It's the little things. But
I need to put this away from my desk.
Sorry, excuse me. Narissa doesn't like say it out loud, but Enos, with your empathy roll, you can pick up, and may or may not want to tell this to other members of the group later. That discussion of like, we're discovering a new way. She is personally very interested in that. She was like, grew up in the Weirwind Keep and, is a trained dragon dancer and stuff. So like, she's familiar with a lot of the legendom of, the dragon slayers, the dragon riders before and all that stuff about that. So, like, you guys may have a route to kind of like not rediscover but reopen the path to dragon sorcery, and that's like really interesting to her on a personal level.
Okay,
because that's connected with those drives. Prince Menas is as the Minister of Antiquity, he is very much focused on kind of the like you said, the historical implications. And he's mostly just like he's excited about this as an avenue for knowledge, kind of like Narissa is, but in a different way. He's more just like, wow, that's really interesting that you can speak to somebody who was, around 1,000 years ago, and you can, or 900 years, I guess, at this point, but you can figure out, stuff from then. So that's, confirmation of great deeds, obviously with the thing with Agenheld's sword sister, but also that's, confirmation of historical events. Frost Drakes came to Norlon and brought frost giants with them because the kin of the Black Scales were waging war against the Iron Demons. That means the Iron Demons were fighting against dragons and, were putting up a decent enough fight that the dragons were, willing to ask about it, willing to talk to friends and family plan. That sort of a thing. So like he's really interested in kind of the additional detail to complex historical relationships that this kind of involves. You get a sense, I won't even make you roll empathy for this. You get a sense from Menas that he's kind of in a similar avenue to how Inos feels about it. You've been talking out of character about how Inos is kind of just like, okay, that was really cool, but I really didn't know what I was going to do with that. So Menas kind of feels the same way. He's like, that was really neat, and I did learn some stuff, but also I don't know what to do with this information. This feels like something I should be able to do something with and like turn into active knowledge in the present, but he is also kind of not sure how to do that process.
I guess we all hope to get actual inputs how we more just got lore.
Good.
And presuming later when you tell Konrad about this, let's see, I think Estelle came with you to see Enos work, and Prince Alias stayed behind to oversee things. So, you talk about that. I don't want to be like Estelle is like, she doesn't know what the hell she just saw, because like she's not an idiot or anything. I think actually I've mentioned that she's got a pretty good knowledge score and has like some very high student skills. But it's definitely a case of like a lot of the mystical spiritual stuff, it was all very interesting, but she didn't have any part in the research into that,
She didn't have
as far as you guys know, she has no sorceress affinity. But it was certainly interesting. It was neat.
Well, as long as I remain interesting in her eyes, that's all that matters.
You got that for sure.
Yay. There, delete that. All right. Well, I guess that's with the royal party. Well, now I'm interested in what well, actually, now I'm just curious overall. Alestra seems fine. Like I said, we already covered that with Nicola asking. How is Aurelia feeling about this?
I mean, that'll be the way to phrase it. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think Aurelia is also just kind of like in a state of like, it was very interesting. I don't know what to do with this knowledge. Like, that's, and her focus would probably be more on like the stuff with like the ancestry and the whatchamacallit, the kin of black scales. So she's like, okay, all right. So ancient enemies, they abound. Well, they're not here right now, so I don't know if that matters. Like, is that? She probably, turns it back to you as a question. She's like, Enos, does this matter to us? Is this a thing? Like, are these forces arrayed against us, or are they gone? I don't fucking know.
Well, that probably means we need to find out if they are forces arrayed against us. I inhaled wrong. Enos,
happens.
Inos is probably of the opinion is we need to find out if they are forces acting against us. Because if there is a, venom dragons, maybe, intent on, poisoning the lands that the Iron Demons and, the house of the Fogveil, and Logi call home, that could be a problem in, anywhere between now and 100 years in the future. Or beyond.
So then we should definitely track down some more local legends and maybe ask well, we were going to do that anyway, but we'll make sure to ask the free folk where their kind of tension points are. Where Aurelia, I feel like she kind of like pauses and like purses, like flattens her lips and says, she just kind of shrugs and says, "Spooky bad wrong things happen."
Spooky, bad, wrong things indeed.
But it turns out there was a prophecy. Dun, dun, dun.
No. Okay. Now, I'll also ask the party if they have any thoughts they want to share on, Big Sister Dragon.
Nicola will say he is much more concerned. Not really concerned. Like, honestly, this went better than Nicola was expecting. So, he was expecting a boss fight. But that's because he's an eternal pessimist.
And also doesn't understand how soulcraft works because
Yes, also
the
that.
skeleton doesn't get to move.
I will once again put out. I have a 1 in Soulcraft. Not much.
Not soulcraft.
No, I do have a 1 in Soulcraft.
Well, you have a 1 in soulcraft. How many fucking sorcerers you got points in? Can you even have a 1 in soulcraft?
I've had that since the beginning of the session because it's supposed to represent how I tried to be a crafter and was fucking terrible at it.
I don't remember the die coming up, but that does make sense for your character backstory.
Yeah, if I could have a 0 and have the skill trained somehow, like if that was mechanically possible, it would be that. It is to represent, I tried this, it didn't work. But, no, he's much more concerned with, like, the knowledge that, this is something completely new, so we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. And he is concerned by that, because what would make... He's not necessarily concerned for Alestra, although he is always concerned for Alestra. He's more concerned that what would necessitate the gods to do freaky shit with sorcery. Like, you know what? It's like, why now? I don't like that it's now. It's more that kind of thing.
You never know when the moment will come.
Yeah, I don't want to live in the moment.
Oh well, that's. I think that's the one where we do the put hand on shoulder meme to Nicola and be like, "Buddy, it's too late for that."
Yeah,
You'll never believe this.
I don't want to live a
Dallas is
momentous time.
Dallas is very much aware of that. Nicola still does not wish to live in interesting times.
Never. No one should ever wish for that. It never goes well.
That's a great one, yeah. Also, Dallas caught himself. All right. Anybody else other than Nicola?
Konrad probably is a bit half like, wow, a dragon that like fought one of our ancestors for 10 days and nights. That's amazing.
That's rad.
But also, it's a dragon. Should we be trusting it?
That's a good question. How is it phrased in Throw Open the Gates?
It does not have to speak truthfully now.
Okay, I was gonna say it's like it's not obliged to answer your questions.
Me when I spread misinformation.
No, I was just trying to wonder if it's like, does it just like have the ability to like shut the fuck up and not answer you, or is it like fully like it can technically speak untruths?
Let me see here. I will double check it. I'm pretty sure there is no restrictions on lying or withholding information. I don't think there's anything coercing the spirit. But let me... I shall read it. This is a spell of seance, allowing one to commune with the soul of a dead person to perform it. Blah 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 blah. If the departed soul is willing to speak with the caster, their presence will be felt, and one may speak with them for a number of minutes equal to the width of the original sorcery spell. The departed soul can only answer questions and do it live, and is not compelled to tell the truth.
So yes, that's a very important phrasing in there. Now, gonna be real with y'all. This is a little metagamey, but mechanically, You guys don't know how good a dragon is at lying.
I feel like we'd notice if he was trying. Maybe not, I guess. But
I
that's
didn't.
how it
I
is.
didn't. I was more awe that we're talking to a fucking dragon.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, Conrad raises a point that it did not necessarily have to tell you the truth. Everybody who was there. You can give me a kind of like retroactive roll of empathy.
What are we doing? Fridge logic now? Go. Wait a minute.
I guess basically, yeah. Like, think back on that interaction and see. 7s, 5s, 6s. Crazy good sets on empathy today. Leslok's got some 6s as well. Nicola made some low sets. Logesh, I think you were there. You want to try?
Yeah. Empathy, right?
Yes.
Just gotta double check. I didn't mishear that. Nope.
What? All you're missing is a
Don't
4.
know shit, Captain. Yeah, I know.
Hey,
Okay, all right. What a brilliant day it is. Those of you
forget our
who
chips.
actually, let me say this way. Logesh, you don't fucking know. That was a dragon.
It was a skull.
That was a
with glowing
ghost
eyes.
dragon. That is a bit. You don't know. You don't know anything about that. You don't know that guy from Tuesday. Those of you who pass, thinking back, while certainly there were times when that dragon was very spooky and intimidating, you get the impression that how would I phrase this? It did not seem like it was lying because none of its answers really seemed to have any benefit to it to lie to you.
Yeah.
Like mostly it just, showed up, you asked it questions, it was just kind of like, well, this is new and weird. But nothing seemed to, you asked seemed to affect it directly. So I will say empathy doesn't tell you like what they were lying about or how they are lying. It just gives you a sense of like were they telling the truth or not, and you're like you're pretty sure those answers were truthful enough.
That's the precept of like, I don't think it had any reason to lie to us because I feel like it had more point than just telling us how it was.
I mean, it would have reason to lie to us. It is our ancient enemy. Like,
Yeah, but it's dead.
yeah, okay, I'm just saying, there's no reason.
This I think goes not that I want to dig too deep into a role playing conversation right now, but this I think does talk to our characters' different belief systems. Inos would be like, well, they're dead, so it doesn't matter because that's kind of his belief system. Whereas we talked about how like Nicola like personally like wants to like look for the best and believe the best and help people, but he has a nasty habit of thinking that bad shit is going to happen because he has a long history of bad shit happening to him. So it makes sense for him to be like, well, they were our enemies, so. But since Conrad kind of kicked off that comment, I don't know if he had anything else to go with that now that the guys all, stop and have a think about it.
Inos would, oh, sorry.
I mean, I wasn't there, so I didn't hear how it was talking to you exactly, but, always best to be a little bit careful.
No, Inos will definitely take a moment and think over the conversation and be like, no, I don't think she was being false with us. Maybe a little smug, maybe a little scary, but not false.
Logesh is just. Hold on, are you guys done? Can I chime in?
Yes.
Logesh is just concerned with the fact that we went from a cult about some god to doomsday cult. Like, it's like, oh, the chaos they want to inflict is much worse.
I mean, maybe.
Well,
It
no, I
is
think
coming from like what the dragon knew way in the past. Beliefs can evolve. Who knows?
yeah. Well, the dragon did say it was like a fairy tale and whatnot, a legend, a story. But I'm gonna say, before today, we kind of thought, of Kit of a corpse eater Mythodeer as a legend, a fairy tale. We found out that shit was real.
I always
Allegedly.
felt something about it was real, but
So there's that. So no, but I do think the point that she made about that time only happens after everything else is gone. It's just like, wait, no, that's actually very bad.
which more makes sense of what they're maybe trying to do in the grand scheme of it.
Yes, no, their king is not one that is going to emerge in our time. It is one that's going to emerge after our time. After everything has been destroyed, and that's not good.
Because why they're okay blowing themselves up.
But aside for that, Inos will probably have a discussion with Princess Narissa on perhaps if Princess of maybe getting a guard for Alestra. Like I said, Enos is wanting to put more, give Alestra a bit more protection and some sort of martial prowess. And the two that he probably thinks would be fit would either be one of her own dragon dancers or someone. What was it? The Order of the Chain? Not the Chain. What was the Silver Tower one? I can't remember.
I might order the silver chain.
But if Narissa has, maybe has someone that, she would be willing to part with and assign to a... Sorry, I'm trying to think.
Backwoods isn't exactly, it's not like being reassigned to Siberia, but
Yeah.
it is kind of being reassigned to the far corners.
Yeah, but also this is where Princess Narissa is going to be living too. So if anyone particularly wanted to,
it's like being assigned to like Sweden.
it kind of is like being going to Sweden. But yes, ask if there be someone willing to guard Alestra. I can't think of the words right now.
Bodyguard protection.
Yeah. Yes, I think like out of character, I don't have any of the character specifics. But I think Narissa can have some recommendations and will either like write back to Enos with ideas if you want to, like, as her, teacher and mentor, have any input on this, or just Narissa can find somebody suitable and recommend them to be hired on by the house. Obviously, once she is the Marchioness, then she could probably just hire them themselves. But I don't know if you guys want to wait until spring.
We probably do not want to wait till spring, no.
Yeah, so when she gets back to Weirwind Keep, she can probably rifle through her metaphorical Rolodex.
Mm-hmm.
And,
wait, I had a thought.
I'll phrase it this way, gang. Do you want me to just send somebody, or do you want to like pick off a bulleted list?
Thought, Omega, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Big bolted list.
Did anyone who saw Alestra perform dragon sorcery in the cult survive?
Nope.
What I'm asking is, did Shooty McTeleport Man see her perform dragon sorcery?
Well, you don't know if he's in the cult, and also, no, he was in a completely different area.
Okay, good. Okay. That's all I needed to know.
He was busy trying to shoot Marquess Espada.
Goodie for Marquess Espada.
For reasons.
Oh, you'll solve that one later.
Honestly,
this is a surprise assassin we'll use later.
Honestly, let's go with the bulleted list.
Okay. All right. I will keep that in mind, and I'll get you some ideas.
Thank you.
Or options. All right. I'll probably frame it as a letter to Inos later.
Yay! I like getting letters.
No, they're cool. I need to bring them back, but you guys we've been time squished and other stuff for a while, so not been a great time for it. Okay, all right. I am now executing the last call on the train.
Choo choo.
Anything else anybody wants to bring up before the meeting in character? Separate from if Leslok or acts as not as Leslok, because Leslok would remember. Axe may need some reminding about the plan. But in character conversations.
Doesn't sound like it.
I tapped my finger 3 times. Okay, let us take a quick break ski, and then we'll jump to it. Pausing. I have paused.
I tried to do it earlier, but I accidentally muted myself instead. So
Man, you should do that more often.
Damn.
Hey, go fucking yourself.
Savage.
What a bold day we are. Okay, all right. You will now be introduced to some people who will tell you about the places they are from. Whoop.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Sorry, the whoop was me almost losing control of the chair as I was changing my sitting position. But the members of this meeting who come in. That one is that guy. And I'll mention those as well. Hold on. Setting up to add names to the Dramatis just for the sake of it. Okay. So, representing the Hidden Valley itself is Don, with 2 N's. Macintosh. He is Fiona's cousin. They are both of Clan Macintosh. And to kind of
sworn enemies of Clan Microsoft.
All right. The dragon skull flies out of the shadow pass just like that one Dark Souls meme and eats Nicola.
Meg, you should be more creative. You should have been that icy tendrils come from the deep forest and rip him away.
All right, I'm just gonna mute.
That's not creative at all. I think the dragon skull getting up, flying to Nicola and eating him is much better.
Thank you, Aren.
Anyway, that aside, Don McIntosh representing the Hidden Valley. The Hidden Valley is the oldest and largest of the sanctuaries. And as previously discussed with Fiona, but to kind of recap, it is literally a valley that is hidden. It was, once a hidden redoubt and manor for House of Yultur. The valley was also said to be sacred to the Aesir, known as the Clan with Hearts of Stone. Those are the giants, the Mountainkin, who taught Yultur Iron Tusk runecraft. The old school legends about where sorcery comes from. But the valley has had its entrances, concealed and fortified. According to Don, the walls have never been breached in 500 years, though when winter is cold and summer is hot, Monstrum probe its defenses and need to be repelled. You guys have shown, to be friendly enough that while they are still, honor-bound not to discuss its exact location, they can describe it a little to you and talk about how, it has terraced farmland. They've done a lot to try and preserve and, develop new culture. They have the Vanguard who take their oaths beneath the white sapling, which is said to be a cutting of the white rune tree, which is from Torknok. It's the white tree that may be in a prophecy. But they're kind of currently indefinitely space limited because they cannot expand any further past their own defenses. They have, concealed giant stone fortification walls that keep their valley safe. So it's really hard to build out past that because that's past, our unbreachable walls.
Yeah.
At least while they are still getting their seasonal monstrum attacks. Don McIntosh was sent not specifically because he's Fiona's cousin, but because he is a member of what they call the Conclave, which is their voting body. They make their decisions via the voting body of the Conclave, which has exactly 300 members.
Oh.
To qualify for the Conclave, one must be an adult of 20 years, at least, have been born in the valley or be able to trace their lineage there, and either be married with children or have served 2 full years, 8 seasons outside the valley as like a member of the Vanguard or one of their wandering shepherds or messengers kind of a thing. Basically, the idea is to serve in the governing body of the Hidden Valley, you must be invested in the future and past of the Hidden Valley.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Members on the Conclave sit for life unless they are impeached or abdicate. If they abdicate, they get to pick a family member to inherit their seat. Otherwise, the Conclave votes to fill the remaining seat.
Okay.
Very functional.
So, they have a not quite egalitarian culture, but the people in the Hidden Valley are drawn up from a bunch of different walks of life. They categorize themselves of being of various clans. You've been introduced to, Macintosh, a clan of lords. Niall is from, clan of the bards. Was it Finnegan? Fiona's lieutenant is clan of the warriors, I believe. Like I said that earlier. I should also say Dawn arrives with a couple of other, Vanguard groups, Vanguard captains. One is Arte Oakhart, who is a, big burly woman who's wearing a Sorry, I just realized I was gonna do a face gesture that I was gonna be like, wait, that's gonna put me off the microphone. She covers her face in like a carved oaken mask.
Neat.
And carries like a simple carved wooden spear as her primary weapon. Ooh. And also Cadwal McCoyce, which I think McCoyce is like clan of the like sheriffs or something, like clan of the mind watchmen. And they bring some additional Vanguard members to support. If you want to know what their deal is, you can ask them later. But I've put those people in the list. Let's see. I'm debating whether I want to open the floor to questions now or I want to just run through all the representatives and then, have any time for questions at the big meeting.
Oh, probably should run through them all.
Okay. Didn't sound like there's any objections, so all right.
Nope.
You guys are already pretty familiar with Verdant Sepul. You've been there, the Apple Garden. The locals are descended from the woods folk of houses Azamina and Tristram. They dwell in the Runewood under the protection of the King of Blossoms. They, forage and use the backwoods arts of their ancestors. They are small but dedicated. They would like to remind you that Alverd is only their patron and benefactor. He is not actually their boss. They are his guests. And so they are ruled, quote unquote, by guidance from a small religious caste of Veilers, who they revere as cunning folk, seers, and folk healers. Their representative they sent is someone you know already, Sylvain MacAnalba.
It's Grandma!
Who is clan of the Seers, yes. Their eldest Veiler and Fiona's grandmother. So she is their senior Veiler, their senior wise woman, and is, here to represent them. Sorry, I just was like, we made the Lucky just exclaimed Granny. I'm just like, I almost feel the need to be like, hello, children. Here, pocket candy.
I'm about to say, like I was thinking she was gonna pull out like fucking dried apples. Have a treat.
Get some candied apples. I think you can candy apples. You just need some caramelized syrup. I think among many things you guys passed out some iron tools, so there might be some cast iron cook pans floating around.
Well, we can't candy apples technically because that's a process that didn't get invented till the 20s. But we can caramelize apples.
I was about to say, I think caramelize. No,
Yeah.
Caramelize might be the right word for it, but
I think we could cover them in sap and let the sap dry over them, and maybe cook.
You can. I'm pretty sure all you need is just a saucepan and a high heat to like crystallize sugar out of natural like syrups.
Let me see here, caramelized apple. I'm gonna look this shit up.
We'll run that one back.
So
you guys are already pretty aware of like the physical and spiritual concerns of the Verdant Sepul.
Mm-hmm.
They have this issue with the Lady of Thorns and the Heart of the Wood, where winter springs eternal. In the height of natural winter, her minions, wander forth from the wood, and it denies them their, kind of access to their ancestral homeland. Now some new.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say, candy coating was indeed invented in 1940.
Okay.
I'm still gonna call it a candied apple.
That's fair.
The caramel apples are also really good. Anyway, I don't think she could fit entire caramel apples in her pockets.
Yes.
So, Frostvad, the Hall of the Frost Peak, is one you guys are not yet familiar with, but that is known as the Wings of Winter. It is in the western northernmost mountain range, known as the Wings of Winter. If you observe your improved Norlon map, that's the mountains that are way up there. In the, top left side. And they historically come from descendants of House Rune, which is spelled with 2 O's because it's more ye old that way. And also various monastics who were in isolated living. Next to the Hidden Valley, they are the best with runecraft. They also have, best preserved knowledge and old histories and ways among them, because they were physically protected from the war and the Night of Fire by being far away from the combat front and being far away from what is now known as Mother's Tears. But they've always had the smallest population and the least resources. In the dead of winter, they basically cannot venture down from their mountain sanctuary. Like all the passes and routes will be snowed over. It'll be, speaking of gags we've already talked about, it'll be like in Lord of the Rings when they try to go over the mountains. And it's just like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
But there isn't a wizard shouting.
Yeah, there's no wizard shouting, you're pretty sure, but it also still just sucks. I think even before Saruman decides to, throw them out at them, they had some problems.
So, God, I'm a fucking nerd. So
Yes,
the thing Saruman did is he didn't actually create weather because he can't do that. He accelerated the natural conditions of the Red Pass by making, because it already sucked. That's why the dwarves tried to make the Mines of Moria, because it's like, this will suck less. And then they found a demon.
Well, and I'm pretty sure even in the way they frame the sequence in the movie, I don't remember the exact equivalent of the book, but like there's that whole moment where like, Frodo like slips on the snow, and that's when Boromir gets to get his like looking at the ring thing, like, 'tis curious thing. Like crossing a snowed over pass in like your tech level is not fun. So they have a hard time coming down from their mountain. Occasionally they have outbreaks of monstrum, but their primary issue is when they do get to come down from the mountain into the lowlands, they have generational beef with the Ivory Islanders. They are the closest to them, so it is they who are most likely to be struck by their raids. It is mentioned to you by their party, though, that they're the old stronghold, the like base of House Room, the Kaisiel Kranban. is said to be abandoned and iced over. So there could be some ye old knowledge in there. Their form of government is basically the same as how the Mountainkin do things. They are mostly just kind of like,
God damn it.
a tight, community-minded people who will elect a chief if needed, but they do not have like supreme executive power. And their representative is... Actually, I just realized I forgot to spell in the live chat. You can look at him in the Dramatis, but I did say it was Dom with 2 N's, but that I should get in the habit of posting names. So the representative of the Frostvad is Hala Longhand. So I said that Arthur Oakhart was like a tough-looking lady. Hala Longhand is a incredibly tall woman. Like, she's probably like half a head or a head taller than Nicola, who is very tall.
Oh.
Like, she is NBA tall.
Oh, Jesus.
Pale skin, like almost kind of a gray cast to it, white blonde hair, icy blue eyes. Very, very big lady. She says that she is currently given the position of war chief of Frostvad, and she carries a dragonbone greatsword with runes, which she says is an ancestral relic. But she is there to represent them.
Shoot, there was something I wanted to do before we left the Shadow Pass, if we may retcon something real quick.
Sure, what's up? You thought of it just now.
It's not something, but I want to get Alestra another Dragon Tooth. I'm going to get it from her new Frost Drake big sister, though.
Ah, okay. You'll specifically get one of Bodhivarda's teeth. Okay,
Yes.
that's good. All right. I'll keep that in mind.
Yes.
And by the way, the spelling of that was Kaisil Kranban,
Kaisil Kranban.
which I don't remember which language I used exactly. Probably Welsh or Irish or something, but like I think that just means castle, ice rock. Castle, cold place.
Very literal.
I mean, it's frozen over now, so it's out there.
Like the titular wrestler, Chili McFreeze.
I mean, that's the funny thing is, thanks to language drift, people don't realize it, but there are actually a lot of historical names that are just, really boring and simple.
Well, no. Fun fact: that was the original name for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Before they went, no, that's bad.
And then he was like, Stone Cold. Actually, I'm gonna be honest. It could be that Kaisil Kranban is actually Castle Stone Cold or Cold Stone, because that's like a double pun. Cold Stone Creamery, everybody, and also Stone Cold Steve Austin. Where was I? Sorry, finding my notes. Lake Bastion is our next one. So the history of Lake Bastion is that was once a vault and fortress tower built by House Knucker, which I realized that I think auto-corrected to House Knuckler in my notes. No. It is Knucker. It's an old Middle England word. But House Knucker were experts in slaying monsters. According to their, personal histories and legend, when the war and then the Night of Fire came, the Lord of House Knucker retreated inside and would not open his gates, and so was cursed for his cowardice. When he prayed to be released from his curse, he was struck by a bolt of lightning and fell from his tallest tower.
I mean, he left, I guess, from this life.
So his steward opened the gates to all refugees, and then Lake Bastion, which was previously the Bastion at Lake Knuckerhole, entered its current state. It has been basically ruled by the line of stewards who maintain the castle and its boats since then. they obviously have taken over. The castle was built on an island in the middle of the lake. Lake Knucker Hole is the largest single lake in the Fogveil. So there's an island in the middle that they built the castle on. But also they've built up as much around it, and they also use houseboats on the lake to run other operations and do fishing, aquaculture, that kind of thing. Don't know if there's river crabs to river crab, but they might crab basket. Lake Bastion retains knowledge of slaying various forms of monstrum, and they still possess the technological knowledge to construct and maintain devices such as crossbows, ballistic, and other siege engines. While they are usually immune to most monstrum assaults by land, every so many years they'll get large sieges of aquatic monstrum and occasionally get, literal flybys by aerial monstrum. And it is believed that the lake is cursed, possibly because of the old, member of House Knucker who was killed and fell into the lake, but it could be other stuff. Don't know there's cursed treasure involved, Their representative is Bowman Bertolon. He is the son of the current steward, and he is a ranger and hunter of some considerable still. So he's, he is younger. He's only in his 20s. Actually, I forgot. I just realized. I'm looking at the Dramatis. Fiona doesn't have her age included. I don't know why that happened. Fiona's 20, everybody. I just reread that over, and I'm like, why there's no parenthetical there? But Bowman Bertolin's about your age, kind of a fit, average height, average build kind of a guy, a little bit of a dark shaggy hair, a little bit of a light beard, and he's got a big ass bow, and is carrying a couple quiverfuls of arrows. And then the last sanctuary is Irontown of the Hollow Mountain. It's a settlement to the southeast of here. The Ironlanders are quite open to admit that once upon a time they were little more than bandits and deserters left behind by the war, but through hardship they forged a culture that respected strength and hard work. They retained the knowledge to smith bronze and simple iron, though they no longer have the facilities to go up to steelmaking. They also have the ability to make and keep track of some handguns and arquebuses. Again, not any of the crucible forged shit, but they can do the basics. They once fought a war with the Vanguard of the Hidden Valley, and as a result, they became allies. They basically, fought with each other until, depending on who you ask, either they lost and capitulated, or they were like, hey, you guys are pretty strong. That's kind of our thing. We'll respect you and become friends. Predator handshake.
That's best handshake.
They are still somewhat mercenary at heart, but they do believe in fair trade. Like they actually, prosecute the ancient economy of talents of gold and silver kind of a thing. And they do respect, strength of will and determination. Their main issue is that they are physically isolated by, various problems in kind of the northeast of the Fogveil. They are physically the closest to the Field of Fools, the haunted castle of Torknock, the Swamp of Bones, the slag heap around Mother's Tears, etc. Also, as was previously described, the Hollow Mountain, which is now Irontown, was once was like an extinct, collapsed volcanic caldera, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a trade settlement. There were humans, mountainkin, and iron demons all kind of stacked up on top of each other, living in this space. The iron demons retreated once upon a time, and so did most of the mountainkin. So occasionally the Ironlanders have stuff, monsters, ghosts, something, come up out of the vaults that are below. They do not go into the vaults below, but sometimes stuff comes out of them and they have to hit them with swords. But they have very little upper government. They're mostly banded together from either the workers or soldiers based on kind of like a mixture of, personal valor or honor and just seniority. But their representative is Captain Zanga, who is Fiona's aunt. It was mentioned before. She represents the faction that has the largest amount of fighting men who swear to her. And she is, mature woman, not, as big and muscly as some of the other people, but she's, kind of tough, weather beaten, kind of like hair pulled back in a, light brown hair pulled back in a ponytail, getting a little premature gray at the tips. She has an eye patch because she's cool like that. Has a big hacky machete type short sword in her belt, kind of a thing. And so they are, all assembled.
Okay.
Assemble. Any thoughts?
I'm waiting for others before I start speaking.
This is the moment for thoughts and feelings. As I stretch my neck.
I got nothing.
Max says nothing. Anyone else?
Personally, I have nothing. I think these are cool people.
Yes, it's like Nicola would have nothing to add at this meeting. For right now.
Konrad gives each one of them a very firm hand, like arm shake.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Konrad probably finds that most of them would give firm handshakes in return. Probably the squishiest hand is Bowman Bartleland.
Yeah, he shoots.
I don't know. I would think a good bowman would probably. Well, I guess stats, whatever.
Longbowman does have upper body strength, but probably not like in the the forearm clasp type area.
True enough.
Massive shoulders, though.
Well, then, like I said, Inos will basically mostly just be noting things, but he doesn't have anything particular to add or ask immediately. We have just been basically just had introductions and their immediate concerns and issues, I guess we could say.
Yeah, they basically kind of rattle off their high level, like, I did not roleplay this out because I did not want to do 5 different voices back to back, but they, show up and they're like, hello, I'm X of Y. Here is what our place is about. And, here's what we deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, catching you guys up to the tactical situation.
Yes.
Or I guess the strategic situation, the long-term logistics.
We're in the 4X scale right here.
Yeah.
So Inos will, make sure to properly do introductions, starting from higher lowest, introducing, the princes and princesses of the realm. We do have several princes and princesses here. It's crazy.
Yes. No, it's pretty important.
And then work our way down to and make our way down to the Marquess and the rest of the important people in our party. So not Nicola. I was hoping for at least a hey.
I mean, I'm chuckling back here. I think Dallas might be too tired for a hey.
Maybe.
What?
Oh, yeah, he wasn't listening. Son of a bitch.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I made a joke at your expense. I was expecting some sort of clapback, but it didn't come, so I was slightly upset.
I probably deserve it.
Wow. What a night. What a night.
Not even clapback, just acceptance. Like, oh, fuck.
I almost feel bad.
I guess I'll... No.
No, and then briefly explain their purpose here and why they have requested this meeting. Inos will then produce, the documents and whatnot of the copy of proclamations and whatnot. Honestly, I forget. Did we say that we were going to translate them ahead of time? Or whatnot? Because I don't believe we.
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I
So
remember a note
I
being
won't need anybody to roll that.
Yeah,
I remember there being a note of putting it in runic.
Yeah, because I remember crown.
We discussed it, so I'm not going to be like, well, I didn't have you roll. Yeah.
Okay. So
I mean, if you really want to roll your pool of runic, you can roll.
I'm not. If we don't have to roll, let's not. But
it's you would have literally days or weeks to prep this. It's fine.
Yeah.
We had the idea weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But we'll produce, the original copy of the contract and then a translated version for their convenience. Basically outlining that the High King, of the bloodline chosen by Hydrus has declared that the Fogveil needs to be fixed and has appointed someone to do so. That person being the Marquess. And that
He's also the Viceroy.
The Viceroy.
I'm now the Viceroy.
I almost, instead of Viceroy, called him the High Inquisitor. I'm like, wait, no, wrong thing.
Whoops.
Wrong guy.
No. That would be a very different job title.
But
Wrong setting.
Well, then, no, I'm pretty sure we could have a High Inquisitor. We have an Inquisition.
We met that guy.
We
met the Witchfinder General, who I don't like. I still don't like.
Yes, who is in charge of the Inquisition? So yeah, there's definitely got to be some High Inquisitors.
But
please continue.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. But okay, where was I, Flo? Yes, and explained, as a token of, the seriousness of the situation and of the respect to the Fogveil for surviving in such trying times for so long. The royal family wished to, personally make a visit to this land and whatnot.
Well, first of all, go ahead and roll your. I have to do the air quotes every time. Graces. Because you are emceeing, because that is also on your business card.
It is, yes.
But yes, I think this does cover my first bullet point in the meeting. Introduction of the Veilment to the outside world, building a positive relationship. Introduce the Viceroy, his role and authority.
It's a cloud of many hats.
The show of good faith.
No, you see, the thing is, I just make it all one hat.
It's a hat of Enos. Fucking hat.
It's the hat of Enos.
Hat.
Enos emphasizes what we like to call the big tent job description. You just put a lot of stuff in one area.
My stretch headache thing.
Make sure you're drinking water, buddy.
Heirloom to my descendants.
Okay, I do have 10 dice in this. Okay, I wasn't sure. What is that? 7s? 3, 4 7s? Yeah.
I believe height is usually better in this case.
Yes.
All right. I mentioned it before in the text, but like the Veilmen don't really have like a modern sense of etiquette, but they make appropriate displays of respect that they would find. They are genuinely quite, I won't say cowed, but quite wowed. Mm-hmm. They are impressed by you producing the declaration of the Viceroy status signed by the High King, and then you're like, and also here's a translation I prepared earlier in runic so you can understand what this says. Mm-hmm. And like, so they take a moment to study and review it while you continue the speech. Mm-hmm. And yes, they are generally positively vibing with you.
Okay.
As representatives. Yeah, I think probably Inos and the others, you get the impression that that's unmuted just to do that. Damn him. Damn your eyes. But you guys get the impression that not necessarily through like seniority, like actual authority, but the group seems to vaguely defer to Don McIntosh.
Okay.
Just because the Hidden Valley itself has seniority. Probably the only one who doesn't seem deferential is Captain Zanga.
Irontown, baby.
She kind of seems to be the one who like keeps her own counsel, but she is not. She doesn't appear to distrust or have anything against the gang, and B, she kind of seems like the keeps her own counsel to herself kind of a person. Like she's not a naysayer. It's just that she does not seem to necessarily defer. But despite their various levels of seniority, a couple of them seem older than he is. We kind of like let Don McIntosh take the lead. So he probably reads first and kind of nods along, strokes his beard. Actually, I forgot to describe him physically earlier. Don McIntosh is a fit, early middle-aged gentleman. His head is, shaved bald, and he has runic tattoos all over it. But he has just a decent amount of, much more. Because I think I described Fiona as like auburn-haired, kind of reddish brown. He's much more in the ginger department with his beard. So he's, kind of like I said, shaved head, runic tattoos, beard. But he kind of, nods along and and then I think then they would ask. I almost had a spontaneous outbreak of roleplay. I almost did the character voice.
Mm-hmm.
But they would ask, yeah, I gotta ask anytime. Sorry, I'm like, do I need to? I'm like, no, I think we need to get this out there. We don't have to like linger on the role playing of it, but they would ask, what the Viceroy's goals for the Fogveil are, but they also say, what are your intentions in the Fogveil, which is probably the moment that, like, Inos, I think, can safely say your goals. Leslok will probably have to say a little something about your intentions, but you don't have to, like... I'm not saying we're skipping role-playing, but I don't think we got to go too deep into it, just because there's a lot of fucking people here.
Well, anyway, so
excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Bless you, Inos.
Not,
it's the
we got very
dust.
granular. We got very granular at the beginning today, so to start. So it's maybe not. Oh.
He's stretching.
Does anyone else hear a ringing noise?
I do not.
Dallas, I think you're dying.
Oh no.
Are you all right?
No, he's very tired.
I have to live off 6 hours if I'm lucky.
Now, you adjust to it. Anyway.
Fucking nah.
Dallas has the energy to clap back on that. Anyway, let's not get too bogged down in that. Asked a question about what your intentions, Viceroy, are in the Fogveil. How I will not say how will you respond. How wouldst thou respond?
I had something and I lost it immediately, like a fucking idiot. Ugh.
What? Oh. I thought that was like one creature.
No, the frogs are playing tennis.
Oh, let's all hug the
No,
ball.
the toads.
Well,
Is hug the ball the metaphor for forgetting what we had in mind? Because like that shit goes around.
No, it does. But Axe, I will softly remind you, we want to build cooperation between the Fogveil and Teine. You do not want this to seem as a takeover of the Fogveil, but instead bringing the Fogveil back into Tricorone. Like, you are here to assist your neighbors, not
Take over?
Not take over, yes.
I don't know a different way to word that, so I'm fine just going with that.
You can, if Leslok is trying to appear, actually, I'll let you pick. If you're trying to appear, just polite and reasonable, that's Grace's. If you're trying to, like schmooze a little, like actually, speak from the heart and display leadership qualities, that's Inspire. So you can pick which pool to roll, and
I'm gonna do
obviously
Inspire.
be sure to let me know. I want to do Inspire. Okay, roll your Inspire pool.
I have Lucky for this, just in case.
Let's put a giant flag behind him.
9s.
Nice.
Yeah, you're pretty okay. So like we said, as a character, Leslok has had many weeks to prep for this, and obviously you've had plenty of time to run this through in your head. I don't feel like you've got little speech cards prepped or anything.
I don't need to. I memorize everything.
Well, yeah, I know. Like you would write down the speech cards once and then just remember them. But like you can deliver the inspiring, sentiment you want from that line, which is, like you said, we're here to build cooperation. We're here to be neighborly. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to take over anything. But since you go the Inspire route, you tell them that like we took your story to the High King, and he was so moved that he was like, "We got to do something about this." I almost said, "We got to get out of here."
We're here to give you the support.
We got to get in here.
Or like,
yes.
We're here to give you the support you rightfully deserve and need, kind of thing.
Yeah, you might work in some real politic of like we are all technically still under the king's law, so that means you're entitled to the protection of the High King, which means he has to get back in the ballgame. And the definition of the viceroy is sorry, I was not expecting
today.
The gift relationship. Yeah, no, that is our thoughts being sucked out and the exact expression making just
I think playing this game gives me stress headaches.
I think the small
I can believe that. Sometimes I've said it before. Sometimes playing this game makes me like real sweaty. I'm pretty loose and relaxed right now, but that's because we are painfully, laughably unserious right now.
Let's keep going through.
Let me bring it back a little. Let me wipe the laughter tears out of my eyes. I'm tearing up over here. And say what I was going to say, which is, explaining what viceroy means. That, means assistant to the king. So you're here to represent the will of the High King to. Now you rolled Inspire. You wouldn't necessarily save, but to like protect, preserve, and improve the Fogveil. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, to give them the support they rightfully deserve. Maybe
yes.
Maybe too strong of wording, but we'll go with that until that's a problem.
They are rightfully owed.
They rightfully owed the support of the rest
of the High King,
Yes.
So basically with that Inspire, we're dodging the question, of basically you guys get to dodge any of the ancestral question of being House Logi and get to be basically like, no, listen, there's the royal family, there's the crown prince right there. He showed up. I'm the viceroy. I'm speaking for the High King in this aspect. We're all here to represent that. Pay no mind to House Logi's relationship in this. Don't take any umbrage with the fact that my master of ceremonies is an iron demon. We don't mean anything by it. That's just how it is down south.
We are here as the wider government and not as your neighbors, your direct neighbors entirely.
Yes. We're here as friendly neighbors, the good kind. Also, actually, it's so funny to me. I just had that thought, but like genuinely, you Teine are down south to the Veilmen, so that's a funny way we can phrase that.
It's weird to say we're your southern neighbors, and so that makes no fucking sense.
South. I'm lying to the tree.
So, basically, to kind of speed run their reactions, to that success, Sylvia McAnava's already been introduced to you pre-viceroy status, so she kind of already was under the impression or rather you guys already spoke to her about being good neighbors, so she just kind of nods along grandmotherly to the speech. you get the impression that Bertalan and Hala Longhand they're kind of like, in a sense, military leaders, right? Like, Bertalan is referred to as a bowman, a ranger. He is a slayer of monsters. Hala Longhand is a war chief. They are part of the ongoing struggle of the Fogveil. So they kind of just are like, okay, we understand, you're offering support at a logistical scale, a strategic scale that's unprecedented for us. That's all good news,
Mm-hmm.
That'll give us the tools we need to run it back. Don McIntosh is not like skeptical or doubtful, I think, with a successful Inspire, but he's definitely stroking his beard a little and is like, all right, well, that's all well and good, but we will need to talk practical. We'll have to discuss what obviously you can do as yourself and the Viceroy for the Free Folk, and what the Free Folk can do in turn. He kind of makes sure to get a little bit of not quite a speech, but he's obviously also been, prepping in his head some stuff to say, and kind of like
he's showing that he's
gets
not
back
gonna
to,
he's not going to be cowed by our fancy words.
Yeah. And he seems specifically like he's been preparing to emphasize the Veilmen and the Free Folk. They call themselves the Free Folk for a reason. They're not here to like be pitied or like to beg for mercy. They've been fighting this good fight for 500 years, so they will happily take allies. But they want to let you know that it's like, we're not. Would he? No, I think that would be some of his slightly down home country wisdom. He would be like, we're not here to suckle on the teat, sort of a thing. I think Captain Zanga's attitude is much more in that mercenary. I think after that, she just kind of like folds her arms and just says, looks Leslok and the Crown Prince up and down and just says, well, I don't really care about, a fancy title on your piece of paper. We're the Ironlanders. You're here to help, and you look like you can pay. So, if my men are treated fairly, you tell me where you need us to go, and we're there.
You're right. Sounds like he was struggling not to laugh.
That's just me coughing a little. On Lucky's comment. No, the Ivory Raiders is next. We're still in the first bullet point.
Yes.
But like I said, you get kind of the impression that everybody's here. Granny Sylvae is a spiritual leader, but she's also kind of powwowed with you guys on a personal level. So that's her involvement. The other sanctuaries are kind of just happy to have some help.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they weren't even here for the part of the speech where like the Lady Magister was saying crazy shit, like moving mountains and de-islanding islands for this shit. Being like, oh, if the High King wishes the Ivory Corsairs defeated, I'll build a bridge. But Dawn and the Hidden Valley Conclave feel like they want to make it known, that they still feel independent and they don't want to feel like they're, beggars and choosers. They're like, actually like they put forward that this will be a partnership. Zonga puts it in very different terms that like, yeah, this will be a partnership. You guys have stuff, and if you're paying in gold, iron, or bread, we're there. We're Irontown, bitch. We don't care where it comes from. If you have the wherewithal to trade for our services, we're on your side. We're on your team.
Mm-hmm.
I think if there's no more kind of like, sorry, my brain cycled through. If I ever pause a lot, gang, it's usually because my brain cycles through like 4 different words. If there's no more tone setting comments, Leslok, Inos, or anybody else at the table wants to make, the actual bit of business about kind of like relationship building is obviously to offer your donation of supplies and to discuss the plan to lease, the keep in Svardis port, the port of Svardis, and the Wayfort at the Shadow Pass as kind of like, hey, if we're going to support you, we need to get supplies in. As you guys know, the Fogveil is very dangerous. We'd like some secure places to set up. You guys have already planned on using Svardis port as a seaport, a proper seaport, and the fortress outside the Shadow Pass is kind of a forward operating base so you can move men and supplies in. If you guys want, you can bring up that you plan on completely revamping the Shadow Pass and opening that again, or you might save that for a later topic.
Depending on like based upon the their opinions and move they show far, how would the leaders feel about knowing that we're planning on opening the Shadow Pass? Do you think
you can go ahead and roll sense plus empathy, or if you have another appropriate like a student or expert skill.
Let me check my sense. Teaching, history, kindred, logistics, religion, sorcery. I would say not, so I'll just stick with empathy.
Okay. Yeah, just get a read on the room. Read the room.
10s again, Jesus me.
You are really killing it with the
yeah.
Eagle Eye Inos tonight. So, reading the room, you've kind of like pulled everybody's, your own, Grace's role, Leslok's, inspiring speech. Like if you've got a faction rep meter, it's in the positives. It's not like maxed out where you can do no wrong, but it's in the positives right now. It's moved firmly from neutral to positives. They are probably not against the discussion of opening the Shadow Pass, if only because practically you're going to need to move shit in the Fogveil. Fogveil guys might want to move shit out of the Fogveil. You guys haven't discussed, that how far you're willing to let trade go. But that's, a thing that maybe in the future. So they're probably not opposed to it. You may want to discuss, like, if you breach the subject, that it is not a long-term plan, but it's a plan in progress. Like, you're still building up to what your ideal of the Shadow Pass route will be. So, like, you're not going to blow it open with dynamite and be like, moving baggage trains full of, war wagons like tomorrow kind of a thing. Like, it's going to be a gradual build to getting a on-foot trade route back into the Fogveil.
Mm-hmm.
They would not be opposed to that. Some of them might even be for it.
Okay. Then Inos will start the discussion with, as part of this, explaining the point as part of the support that we intend to give to the Fogveil, that we will need secure locations, and since this is indeed their land, we cannot just, claim it for our own uses and wish to pay a fair price for its temporary use. Inos will, explain current coinage and costs, and speak a bunch of words and economics about what can be considered a fair price for both the Svardis Point, the surrounding lands, and the Wayfort. If I do remember, there are some farms outside of Svardis Point that we might be able to get going as well.
There are some ruined stone structures.
Yeah.
And Nicola did, like, he went all biology freak, so that the land is fertile here. It's just not been worked in a while.
Yes.
You just have to worry that the rune bears are going to come down from the mountain in summer and knock over all your crops.
Yeah. That's a problem for summer.
Bear. That's a problem for summer Inos.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about the economics thing, I imagine, like I said, like Bowman, Bartolin, and
picnic baskets.
Hey, boo. I'm looking for a picnic basket. I'm a rune bear. So when you explain all that like economic stuff, I imagine that like Granny Sylvain just kind of gives you a sweet granny, that's nice dear smile, and Hala and Bowman Bertolin, I feel like, are forming a block in this conversation. They kind of like look at each other and like, Hala leans down and is like, "Are you getting any of that?" Bowman Bertolin's like, "Yes, no, maybe so. I understand he wishes to pay us many arrowheads and fish bones." Um, but Dawn and again Captain Zanga are definitely like nodding along, being like, "Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I understand."
Yes.
And we discussed this earlier, out of character. The fair price total for this would be either wealth 5 or 6, which is rounded to treasure 2, and you guys can go to pay it in numerous ways. Like, I think with somebody making a successful haggle roll, I think Leslok could pay for that out of pocket.
I think we also used the money we got from the port to do it.
Yes, that was wealth 6, I believe.
Yes.
So yeah, you could just tell them that, having told you all that, this pirate gold right there, point
It's
down
all
the room.
yours.
That's about the amount of wealth, and you can take it. You can also take that fire sand.
Yes.
Right down the road.
So Enos will do that. He will explain that.
Don't you worry, Logesh. Logesh is gonna have to think some thoughts in a second. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
He would like to. Enos also say that like if they agree to like such a proposal, he would like to get such things done in writing, so we can have a record of it and deliver it to the High King, so that things can remain above board.
Dawn kind of nods along and says that we can all certify with our we can write our own names in runes.
Yes.
I don't wish to speak for everyone to say if they can write in crownish letters.
Enos will say runes will suffice.
Yeah, there is no board of. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what we say, but like I'm pretty sure there are such things as like, because we did talk about this. There are like agreements like with like certain works and trades. So I'm pretty sure purchasing and buying of real estate, there has to be like some sort of record somewhere.
Yeah.
Some sort of office.
That was a joke.
Deeds and
Deeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So I'm just thinking. I think maps is under the Lord Cursor. There's probably a royal cartographer
probably.
and
Also,
royal surveyor,
I also have cartography as a thing, so I could probably like
royal landman.
rough something out if needed.
But
I mean, if you don't have to like write at the table, but Leslok could have prepared, the appropriately accurately measured maps for like what you're leasing.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will deliver those as well. Enos will use this as a springboard. He's like, yes, we might have given you a bunch of shiny things that you won't be able to spell, but spend, not spell. What the fuck, Lucky? Spend,
The
but
old spend and spell.
You're calling them illiterate?
you're illiterate.
He's Australian.
That just means he's upside down.
I am no read good.
But you might have some concerns about not being able to have all the shiny things and nothing to do with it. Enos will use that point to explain that we are expecting to be increasing trade in the area, because with the leasing of the Wayfort and the Sardis, we will be going along with reconstruction efforts. So that means more people will be coming into the Fogveil to work on said projects, and with people comes trade. We did bring some supplies now in the form of some basic food, tools, and clothing to as a gift for this new pack of cooperation. But as time goes on, more traders will come in, and they will definitely want coin or trade for their goods. I did say that in there, Enos would also mention that we plan on doing work through the Shadow Pass to also facilitate foot trade. I don't know if I actually said that in that whole big blob of words I said.
You didn't say it. You didn't say it yet, but we can.
Yes.
That seems like the right conversation. So yeah, okay. So yeah, you'll be bringing tradesmen and work in. That means there will probably eventually be merchants. There will eventually you will open not just the sea route but the land route, etc. They kind of they follow along. I don't think they would necessarily have any
If they don't, I can just keep
biting
going.
questions about the economics of it all.
Yes. Inos will explain that if there are any free folk who also wish to join in the reconstruction, it could be a valuable opportunity for them to learn more about how the rest of the realm has been getting on. An exchange of knowledge and techniques will be willing to be facilitated. Anyone who works on such projects will be paid as a fair wage according to their labor, and will be allowed to spend their coin as they see fit. That I think is all for the matters of the ports and wayforts, I believe. Oh, for the town of Svartis Port and the wayfort, though, they would like to make a request of the Fogveil. As we understand that the Fogveil uses drums to communicate over long distances. We would like to have a large drum made for both the Wayfort and Svartisport, so that we may facilitate communications between areas.
I think Don again kind of like nods, strokes his beard, glances over at the groups of the Vanguard captains, kind of like, we didn't describe it, but you guys are probably in like the study or meeting room somewhere inside the keep, and just there's got to be a big table. We got to have a big table.
I was gonna say, I didn't
nice
mention
big
it.
Rectangular table.
I wasn't gonna mention it, but like before this on, Enos probably would have set to like making sure this area is cleaned up and presentable. Who knows what kind of state it was in before?
That's why you sneezed earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're in a space where you actually have tables, chairs, etc. There are papers and documents and maps across it. So like the Vanguard captains are kind of like, they're not like at the table leaning over, but they're kind of standing in the back. He kind of nods in their directions and he says, if we are to work together, we can either have our drum makers provide suitable large long distance drums and drummers to beat out the codes until he kind of pauses, like he's mulling over the words, but he does kind of say, until your lot can follow along. Like kind of had to debate that one. But it is a practical that he understands that there's no way that it's going to be like, even if I have a message guy listen to drums, write it down and hand it to somebody, you guys are going to be able to figure out language that way, because you're going to be able to be like, okay, so this message reads this, but this message reads that, reverse engineering. So he is like, okay, you're gonna figure out the drum language. So we'll provide you with drums and drummers until such time as people can start picking it up. And he does say that if he nodded to the Vanguard, because he says, and also, while you didn't ask for it directly, it would probably be prudent during the early times, until he kind of glances back out towards the edge of town. I don't know if you're going to rebuild the palisade, the wooden wall, or construct more sturdy fortifications, but you'll want to be rebuilding it more than just a berm against the monsters. Until that's complete, as friends and allies, it's only prudent if we dispatch at least one band of the Vanguard to watch this place. Kind of eyes him up, kind of shoots an aside glance at, Inos and Leslok and crew, and is kind of like, you've worked the longest and the best with Fiona McIntosh, who is my own bloodkin, but I don't want to encourage any sort of, they wouldn't have the word for nepotism, but, kind of like any kind of favoritism. I'll tell you, Conceal or Arte will make just as fine a captain. Again, probably a little bit of, you sense a little bit of tension, Zonga in the back kind of folds her arms and is like, I think Fiona's band would do just fine. You'd be like, oh, you would. You're closer kin than I am.
Can we influence this decision, or is this something that you think you think?
Yes, I think you can. He's Don is kind of leaning away where he's like, we don't want to seem like there's any, weird relationship forming, but you have worked the most with Fiona, So like, well, if you guys want to work closely with Fiona, that would be fascinate for persuasion. Yeah.
But first, I'm going to do eye-to-eye communication with the Marquess and see if he has any opinions on this either way.
Marcus, how do you feel? Do you prefer Fiona, or do you think you should let this play out naturally?
I'm not sure what the other option would be in this case.
Pick probably one of these new captains that you don't know anything about.
I'll take Fiona then.
All right, so Inos will, clear his throat and make it sound like, considering we have worked with Fiona's Vanguard, I think it would be easier on it would be better for preventing friction, as it were. After all, we have hunted together. We have hunted together.
You went on the hunt together, yes.
Yes.
All right, go ahead and roll your Fascinate.
I wish I could aid him, but I don't think I can.
No,
you don't need to though.
No, don't worry, buddy. You aided me. You gave me the direction to go.
I mean, I also have a Fascinate.
You pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
That's 10s, I think, because you're beautiful.
I am beautiful. I don't think it becomes 3 10s. I think it just becomes 2 10s.
No, I believe the dice that match are increased in height, so it does not change your width.
Yes.
I believe.
But it is 2.
I always thought
that
Beautiful 3 was
becomes
9s.
No, Beauty 3 is all the way to 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like what, 3, 5, 10, I think?
Yeah, 3 5 10.
Yeah. But yes, okay, so that kind of happens, and he kind of nods and rolls his shoulders and raises a hand in capitulation, and he's like, all right, if you're so insistent, I'm sure we can get it to pass conclave. Those of you who understand runic, I would like you to roll, for me, your knowledge plus runic roll. I know that's definitely Inos, and I think also Leslok and Konrad.
Yeah.
Where is my damn?
So yes, no plus runic.
I have
because he says something in runic as an aside to Fiona. So we'll see if you catch it.
I have a master die in it because I just have so much XP for this.
You don't have to explain that you have a master die. You have a master die.
No, I think you've put in the time to put the master die in with the linguist. Runic is one of the classic languages. It's mostly the weird shit. Like if you put a master die in a dead language, I'd probably be like, wait a minute.
No.
6s. 10s for Konrad.
2 9s.
7 plus ED. We'll go with 7. Though.
Oh right, master die. Yeah, so you can make it 2 9s.
Boom! 7s. Let's go. Oh, I rolled 9s. Never mind. I was about to be super. I was about to be.
9s.
Yeah.
I mean, the expert die did proc, but you also got a set better. Okay, so all three of you understand when Don turns and kind of, not like out of the sight of his mouth, but says in a low voice in runic to Fiona something basically like, you've made quick friends, with these outsiders' cousins. But, how would he phrase this? It's like, he says, but be careful, you have important work to do. And he says a phrase that in runic is something literal, like instead of using her name, he uses actually, hold on, I need to double check my own phrasing in my notes.
I don't know the whole thing. So see on the whole thing, like she's
in this area?
kind of the heir to like.
Let
the
him
clan?
explain it.
You know that Fiona is Clan of the King. You've had the system, or Clan of the Lords. Actually, I don't remember what my literal translation was. You know now that the way the conclave works is that like they don't necessarily do direct inheritance, but she could be in the position.
Oh, what did I miss out on the rolls?
It's if you had any language runic.
Never mind.
Yeah. But yes, he refers to her as protected by thunder. And then, assuming you guys don't want to question anybody on that, the
Not right
conversation
now.
will continue
That's all
down
I-
the line. Yeah,
just
you
be
pocket
like-
that one. You pocket that one.
Not being like, hold up 1 second, protected by thunder. Enough of this Fogveil business. Tell me about that shit. No, we're not gonna do that.
I
No,
mean,
it's something we could ask about after the fact.
you know, you guys would figure out a lot more shit that way, but I think you'd have less friends.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Every time something happened, you're just like, pause this conversation. Tell me about that. It's the fucking BioWare protagonist syndrome.
Just go through every dialogue.
Anyway, no,
option.
we won't. Yeah, we won't run down the dialogue tree. After that aside, Dawn kind of turns back and basically says, "All right, so that's we can secure Spartus from the because this is a segue. We can
Yes.
secure Spartus, from Monstrum by land." But if you're going to bring in people by sea, how's that going to work out with our mutual enemies, the Corsairs of the Ivory Islands? And I feel like every Fogveiler in the room, turns and spits when he says it or something. Like they all they do not like those people.
Well, Inos will be like, well, I am glad you asked. We have none of the Ivory Raidies. Raidies? Ivory Raid? What?
Raiders.
Don't worry about
Coast
it.
Raiders.
Yes, Axe, I know, but I'm mocking my inability to say words.
The Ivory Rabies?
They are rabies. So,
Well, Nicola would be a lot more helpful.
but, because, the crown does not look, kindly upon pirates, and is it High Admiral? Is that her title?
Lady Admiral.
Lady Admiral. The Lady Admiral looks even less kindly upon them. So upon learning that there are pirates abound in here, disrupting the lives of the good and free folk, the High King has decided that we must take military action against them. To this effect, the Lady Admiral has returned to her home to gather up her forces and... Oh, actually, let's see about this thing. And let's see, we're still summer 3 right now, right?
Yeah, this should be late summer. It's not autumn yet.
Okay. And we will be planning an offensive against the Ivory Raiders this fall. And so we have not and so it says our intentions is to find them, destroy them, and make sure that they will never, darken the seeds in this area ever again.
We're going to
This
kill them.
gets some determined, nodding, maybe a little thumping on the table kind of a thing. Like they like this.
Mhm.
I want to make you roll. They like this conversation. All right. Hala says something in runic to the effect of about damn time.
And it's like, Inos will go on to explain that we want that this will probably be the only major operation we'll be able to take in the Fogveil due to the coming winter and the time. So we want to make sure that we are thorough in it. Also, it'll take some time for the Lady Admiral to marshal her forces and get them in preparation to strike. And so, a bit of patience will be required. That being said, we do believe that this battle will take place on 2 fronts. One will be the battle at sea, of course, But if what they understand of the Ivory Raiders is to be true, they also have a, I don't want to say fortress. That was my first word. I don't know if I want to call it a fortress.
Stronghold.
Stronghold. Yes, that's a good word. A stronghold that will need to be, I don't want to say sieged. What was the word? Assaulted. Thank you.
Route.
I like assaulted.
Well, you'll need to assault the strong point. You don't know if the enemy will rout.
Yes.
That's an outcome, not a
Fair.
action.
But that phase of the operation will probably be mostly done by the Viceroy's men. And, Inos doesn't really say this slyly, but he says this somewhat knowingly, if you know what I mean. And any other additional forces we may be able to muster to bring against the Ivory Raiders.
Again, they kind of nod and go along and like, yeah. By the way, hey, I just posted it. Literally, this is my notes about this bullet point of the conversation, which is there's 2 areas they need to win. They need victory at sea, and you need to take the Corsairs' fortress. I did use the word fortress.
Ah.
I don't think it's that impressive, but we'll find out.
Yeah, basically, they kind of nod along, and in this case, actually, they defer to Bowman Bertolon, because he's also Boatman Bertolon, and basically they explain that because you said, we need to find them, and they're like, yeah, no, we know where they are. We've known what islands they frequent. We can observe, from the coast with our eyes, or even with runic sorcery. I think it's Eagle Eye Rune, and stuff like that, and they can certainly swim over there. That's another something of the Orca Rune to like give yourself whale blessed, basically. Runecraft is funny. You can't do fresh water, but you can do salt water.
Oh.
Oceans don't break the rules of runecraftery. It's funny how that works.
Ocean's
but
wrong.
Sorry, clear my throat. So they've known where it is. Their offensive ability though has been limited in previous because their boat technology is limited to simple rafts, punts, and canoes.
Mm-hmm.
The people of the Fogveil still understand how to build and operate longships, galleys, but they have not had any need to build them for, several generations.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have any lying around, but they can, row. They understand the basic principles of ramming. You're pretty sure that the Ironlanders, understand how to use, cannon and shot. The, kind of description of their stuff, but they know where they are. Their stronghold, as you said, is their ancestral stronghold. So I used both words. Is known as, let me quote this, because the text is a little blurry in the map. I spoiled it, but you would know where it's supposed to be. Philia Bear, the Pale Keep. This is going to be a pretty tough one to siege. They're willing to commit significant ground forces if you can move them, because they don't have like I said, they don't have the boats to move themselves. But if you can figure out a way to move them, they are certainly committed to a ground offensive. But the fortress is pretty gnarly. It is a fortress of giant stone, ringed and reinforced in dragon bone. Wow. The stones used to create it were once hauled by mammoths, because they are the Ivory Islands. So they had big animals to move them. So, obviously it's not going to be very well maintained, but giant stone is really fucking good. So it's going to be a big, tough fortress. To also discuss some of the tactical problems, they agree with your assessment that, you need to claim victory at sea and you need to break their stronghold. How exactly that works, it will depend on the mission goals, but that's kind of always what they've known would need to be done to get them out of there. Obviously, House Logi will be able to contribute, men at arms on land. House Marin will be, and the King's Navy will contribute men at sea. I'll actually say, would Inos commit that House Ache will offer support? You don't know exactly what support the Countess can offer, but...
Well, I do know that Countess Ache does seem very gung-ho, and I believe she is also fairly anti-pirate herself. If I remember her reaction.
She is the Lady Warden, not the Lady Admiral, but it seems like she is an officer of the law in the king, head of the King's Rangers.
Well, I think because she doesn't also like the idea of pirates, going around to the northern coast and whatnot either. So
also true, it's a weakness on her border.
I also think some of their men would be able to.
No, but Inos will not. Inos will not say that. Will not guarantee a support, but will mention that we will be conferring with other allies to see what additional support we can. I'm gonna make it nebulous, but positive, but nebulous.
I mean, that's open-ended enough that if you could get Iron Demon assistance in there, that would count. I will tell you right now, Inos, you know this, that would be very hard to get the Iron Demons to commit militarily, mostly because you would have to move them via boat.
No.
Yes!
Unless you can construct some sort of undersea tunnel for them to go through.
They don't have the
tunnel.
They don't have the magic. They've not given life to the giant drill machine yet.
I'm sorry,
don't tell to the counselor.
Oh no!
Yeah, some sort of channel.
No, see, what we're gonna do is we're gonna enchant our iron armor to gain 8 fall damage. We're just gonna catapult them into it.
I mean, if you could actually do that, that would work. I think Iron Demons would like flying slightly better than boating, but only a little bit.
Give me a parachute, brother.
Oh, we can make parachutes.
Actually, yeah, the wingsuit's on your list of things to fund.
No, but I think that'd be a horrible thing to do to Iron Demons in general, just because you'd be.
No, they also, like I said, I think they would only prefer flying slightly over boating, if only because it would be over faster.
No. The thing is, you tell them they're on an airship, and somehow that triggers them. They're like, "Oh fuck! Oh no!"
Oh, it's supposed to be that they feel a spiritual connection to the power beneath the earth, the chthonic power. So they probably won't like flying any more than they like boats. The other major factor in this is also the Iron Demons. Your primary infantry troop are known as Iron Warriors in full iron and steel plate mail. Doing an island campaign, an amphibious assault.
Well, like I said, if we get the if we borrow some Royal Engineers and make that fucking land bridge to there, that won't be a problem. But that's an option we have.
Yeah, no. If you guys want to do a causeway to just march right up there by land, that'll work. But otherwise, it'll be an amphibious assault. That'll be something for you guys to discuss in your plans.
Yes.
A causeway is probably easier for all of the tribes.
Well, actually, no. Remember, I don't know if you remember this, but we did purchase boats from Marin, and we are commissioning a few more of the pear-shaped boats like Captain Itona has. Those would actually serve pretty well as troop transports. They're not like the most heavily armed, but we can get a lot of people over them.
You'll be able to move men by sea, and that I need to put a pin in that because you will be going to Crag later. When you discuss allies with Countess A, that could be something you request because you know that Crag is still known for using galleys and longships as transports and coastal patrols. So she could move longships to move troops over if you wanted that.
Yes. So no, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We have ways to move people over water. If we want to do the land thing, I think we would have to get the Royal Engineers because I don't think we can do it ourselves. I don't think we have.
No, I don't think you guys have the expertise.
And I just need to make more than one trinket. I think for at least 2 separate military.
I mean, I don't think you have to do actually, I don't even know if you can do, because you can't hide objects. I don't think you can Soldiers of Shadow a naval force. Boats are not people, oddly enough. And also the area is way so. The size of a naval engagement, the radius is so big compared to hiding a troop movement. The main thing is a causeway would mean that you guys could move large volumes of soldiers and could ship volumes of siege engines and other supplies. as opposed to having to worry about boating, which involves, enemy boats, enemy coast defenses, and weather.
Mhm.
But the mentioning earlier, I think X said, what should we call it? Like being better for the free folk, not necessarily true. Like I said, they are familiar with the operation of boats. They have, canoes, punts, rafts. They know they have stories about long ships. So like they're not afraid of the ocean. It's just they don't have the industry to construct a shitload of longboats and row out there and punch those guys themselves.
So I checked the spell. It does not get rid of the boat, but it would cover everyone in like a square mile radius of the cast. So it would cover all of the crews of the ships in a square mile radius.
But there'll still be giant
That's
boats.
Ghost
Also,
boats.
again, square mile radius. That's what is it? 5,000 feet on a side?
What if we made the boat out of
Square mile?
toenails?
How many feet in a mile?
It's like 5,000.
Is it 5,000 yards or 5,000 feet? I don't remember.
5,382, I think, or 200 something.
Don't ask
Yeah,
me.
I don't need the exact, but that's not that far apart when talking about boats.
Gotcha.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so like I there's no guarantee that it would move there. But anyway, to talk on that though, I have some tactical knowledge they can fill you in with. They don't have the exact language for it, but they can describe the kind of ships the Corsairs use, so you guys can use your knowledge of strategy and tactics to fill in the blank. So to face their navy, you're going to need to construct a plan that will require more cunning than power. The Corsairs are not heavily armed. Their boats are mostly galleys and yawls, or ships scavenged from raiding Norlish shores. So they might have like a few, old style like cogs or galleons, some armed merchant ships. But obviously, they have excellent knowledge of the terrain of the Ivory Islands, which are filled with reefs, shoals, straits, and other hazards. It is a, offshore set of rocky islands, which, again, I don't know how much you guys, in character, I don't know how much you guys understand, like, geological process, but out of character, you see how there's a mountain range on land? That's right next to those islands. Yeah, those islands are, offshore mountains. So they're rocky, rough, steep. So you got to worry about that sort of stuff. So the Corsairs do possess some cannons, but they reserve their shot for special scenarios. They mostly attack using ballistae and onagers, and they use ammunition designed to break up hulls and sails. So like they'll shoot down your mast with like ballistae bolt, or puncture your sails with ballistae bolts so they can get up close and ram. So they will do boarding actions, but they're also known to perform ramming boarding and also throw pots of burning pitch and poison onto enemy ships. Old school style naval warfare. It would be in your best interest to come up with some kind of plan to, if you can, lure them into the open sea where they will be at a much more significant disadvantage. Or figure out some kind of tactic that can, fight them in close quarters. You guys may, need to wait for Marin to show up for you guys to, House Marin, I should say, to show up to consult.
Mm-hmm.
But like they are not likely to, unless you come up with some sort of, or someone, I should say, comes up with some sort of plan of operation. They are not going to just form an oceanic battle line and trade cannon broadsides with you. That's not how they work. So you'll need to either trick them into doing that or fight them in their own turf, which will be tougher, even with a power advantage.
We might need some sort of bait, probably.
Might work. Philia Bear is going to be a little bit of another tough nut to crack. According to, urban legends and stories, they've never successfully been besieged because it's an island castle. And according to folklore, the old school lore, it is supplied by networks of tunnels and sea caves under the mountain to smuggle in supplies. Or just hold supplies in the event of a siege. But there might be weaknesses. One, obviously, if those sea cave routes are real, that means that you could sneak men in that way. That's going to be a tough fight, but will not be an open siege, That'll be a tunnel assault.
That'd probably be a good place for Iron Warriors if we could get them there.
If you could get Iron Warriors in, that would be great. They'd be ideal for that. You may have to make do, though. like I said, I had that thought because Inos left it open-ended on allies. You guys haven't talked to the Iron Demons about pitching it at all, but you did leave your question so open-ended that if you want to fish for other allies, I was going to say any port in a storm. No, every ally counts, kind of a thing.
Oh yeah.
But the second thing is, on the same island, their stronghold island, they used to have a equivalent of a not quite a castle town, but they had a structure built up. They had an area known as Mamatrik. You got to say it with some phlegm.
no.
If you can't pronounce that, that's okay. That translates to Mammoth's Grave.
Okay.
But the Mammoth's Graves, that's what it used to be called. The Veilers call it, the Fogveilmen call it the Slave Pits now. This used to be where they would, they had a huge stone quarry they quarried out to build these, coastal forts and fortifications, but was also used for hunting of mammoths. Because you guys don't know anything about mammoth hunting, but like many other Stone Age forms of hunting, one of the ways you hunt a mammoth is you drive it into a big pit where it falls down and dies. Falling damage takes everybody. Dallas finds this very funny.
Sorry.
I have a
Losing my
tangential,
mind.
or him wheezing. So
Yeah, I think
right, Dallas.
asthma.
I have
attack.
I have a tangential question, but I guess I'll save it for later.
Okay, I only have one more on this bullet point, which is now it's called the slave pit because now it's where they organize and store prisoners who they use in forced labor or they send them to settlements. To give you a little bit of background information on the Corsairs, the Veil folk know, the Veilmen know from observation, testimony, their own case of quote unquote interrogating prisoners. Beating the shit out of ivory corsairs with bricks until they talk. Hitting them with big stick.
that's a good method.
That the quality of life of the upper echelons of the corsairs, the actual ivory islanders, is dependent on slave labor. Like, they have built a system where they may or may not have the permanent underclass, perk. Or asset. So they are reliant on cycling through outside labor in order for them to maintain a higher standard of living than the Fogveil normally enjoys. So that means that if you were to either cause a slave revolt or cause a pincer attack, they would have to respond in some way because otherwise that, threatens their standard of living.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking that.
Also, again, you guys don't have to be goody two shoes, but that's up to your characters to think how they feel about the morality of a place called the Slave Pit and how they feel about that.
I mean, Nicola is probably not jazzed by it, but also, I can't imagine prison forced labor is something we don't do.
No, that is actually what you do with most of your prisoners.
Most
like
of the
honestly,
real world does it.
That's in some cases that's a better alternative than just rotting in the dungeon in confinement, right? Like they have you do stuff. Only certain classes of prisoners are just told, "All right, buddy, sit in your cell, try not to die."
Yeah, and as uncomfortable of a decision as a conversation as it is, that's probably also technically true in the reality world too, because solitary confinement is really, 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 really bad.
We can talk a lot about our current prison assessment, but I don't think it needs to be right now.
Yeah.
I mean, to put it in context of the setting, I think there's a reason, though, why oubliettes are considered the worst punishment. The cell in which we forget about you. That's you only save that for people you hate. Not just criminals, but people whose guts you hate. You put them in oubliette cells, out of sight, out of mind type shit. So, yeah. The main thing I think morally is that obviously these people trade in slaves. They exchange goods and services for slaves, not to the workers. And also they actively capture randos. So it's not, not like prison labor where like, you know, you guys again can think how you morally square, you know,
It's people to free.
you know, do a crime, serve the time. But like these people are normal Fogveil residents, even possibly captured from other Norlish areas. You know that the Corsairs do coastal raiding and do occasionally attack ships that travel through their treacherous islands. You know, if anybody did need to go the long way around Norlon. The sea routes are considered dangerous but possible. And I think I mentioned in various backstory points, it was known there was some kind of like piratical force out here. You guys just didn't bother to check if they were like organized. And it's like, yeah, they are. They're a little organized. So that's kind of the extra tactical information the Fogveil, the Free Folk, have on the Ivory Corsairs. They're down to climb with supplying you men. They just don't have the boats for it. Philly-a-Bear's pretty tough, but there may be alternate ways besides just, you know, beating down their giant stone walls. Because the Free Folk are kind of the opinion that, like, these cannons and things, Demon Fire, Fire Sand, that's pretty cool, but we also have giant stone walls in the Hidden Valley that have stood against 500 years of monster attacks, so we're not sure how your cannons are gonna... We literally don't know how your cannons will scrape up against that.
I mean, worst comes to worst, I got a little bit of something. As I just palm my bottle of Alkahest.
I doubt that's going to take down a whole section of wall. But we can talk about strategy later.
How many months do we got?
Guys, I know how we can defeat this. We need to summon Bahamut.
I mean, talking about Umbral Calamity, Inos could have the ocean eat the island.
But I don't think it's productive in the long term.
Well, no.
The main problem with Umbral Calamity is that it's a very big scale spell that is very hard to target.
Also, I think all of the Fogveil would not like that.
No, they wouldn't.
No, they probably would not be happy about that.
Fucking Fallout thing, like, no one liked that.
Everybody disliked that. No, my faction rep. But no, you guys have months to figure out the tactics. I
had a question about.
Yes.
Would us? This is maybe kind of a stretch, but would us learning anything about the terrain itself be helpful in this regard? Like the layout of the oceans, or would that actually affect anything mechanically?
I think. Well, excuse me. I'll let Omega speak.
It depends on what you want to do, but yes, you could use these would probably be. We're talking about probably at least 2 company roles, some of which might be attack, but it might be like attack, unconventional warfare, something like that. But there's going to be at least 2 company roles, possibly more, depending on how you're depleting their stats. Do I want to? No, I'll probably save that for when we actually sit down to discuss their potential stats to see if any of you've gleaned any of their the Corsairs company stats.
Because I wanted to do a thing of is there a way for me to actually do I was going to combine a bunch of my skills together with scrying and cartography and other journaling to just plot out the actual layout of the oceans around their area.
So the ocean, naval charts is probably something you can't do with scry, because you would just be show me the ocean outside this island. You would see the ocean, right?
I can't.
Naval charts requires tools and stuff. You could, now that you know the name of this place and have it described to you, you can scry anytime you like on Philly-a-Bear, the Pale Keep. So you could absolutely take charts and records of their castle layout. You keep an eye on that sort of situation. Naval charting, that's not necessarily going to be something you can do by just observing the scrying.
Just because there's that or any other spell that would have done anything like that, but if that's just not viable, I'm fine just doing that to get intel, so we have a better plan.
Yeah. No, getting up-to-date naval information is important, but that's a thing that, if you guys recall from Summer Court, that was a whole discussion with the astrologers from Tron. They were having problems with boats, and so Duke Verity had to be like, no, my best astrologers and cartographers have taken all the appropriate readings and updated all our almanacs and naval charts. So like that's a process that just observing visually would not. Hypothetically, as a Veiler, I don't, despite writing them all, I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of every Veil spell. It may be possible that you could perform Veil spells to make you personally better at navigating. You will not necessarily be able to turn that into a chart other characters can reference without you doing it first. And if you do it first, you're going to be shot at by angry pirates.
And,
like I said, I won't count it out, but
I get you. I'll probably try to make.
There
like,
are
a
options. We can
use
figure this
for
stuff out
the,
at a
raid part.
At a later step. But yes, no. So there's, as I said, I've presented you guys a couple of tactical options for later, and let you know the score. Any questions about Ivory Island stuff you want to ask the assembled, representatives of the free folk?
Has their influence spread to the mainland at all? Like, do they have any, like, even temporary ports that they inhabit on the Fogveil coast?
They don't have any permanent settlements on the mainland, because if they did, the free folk would beat their ass. Normally, when they want to land, if they want to go inland, they will, because they use shallow draft boats, they will just pull straight up onto the beach and they make temporary camps. If the Vanguard spot any of their camps, they'll counter raid kind of a thing them. So they usually travel light and stealthily if they need to go inland for a raid. But no, they don't have any permanent presence on the mainland.
Okay. Before we maybe bring our full forces to bear, we might want to sweep the coast, make sure there's no one there to report back what we're doing.
Like no scouts and all that.
Well,
I think in the back, Ate Oakheart, just, that's the woman with the oaken mask, just kind of like, you just hear her kind of like crack all the joints in her hands and pop all the joints in her shoulders, kind of a thing. And that's all the comment.
I think we don't have to worry about Ivy Raiders on anywhere outside the stronghold. I don't think. As I said, I don't think the rest of them would tolerate it. And from what I understand, the Vans do a lot of patrolling. So, and they talk about, like, what was it, Frostveld basically always keeping an eye on them. So I'm pretty sure they would know if they had seen any movements. I don't think they've been able to hide something for very long. Do they know if there's a history of the Ivy Raiders trying to make to expand?
Expand, no, but like I said, they will raid inland. They used to be, should I use the phrase better? Yeah, I guess you say better about, like, they used to have more success about it, but as the free folk have banded together and built better systems, they've gotten better and better at catching their raids and pushing them back. But it also it's basically it's almost like raid rocket tag. Like, if the Ivory Raiders set up a camp to run a raid to, like, steal supplies, people, livestock, whatever, and the Vanguard see it, they'll roll up the drums, get as many guys together as they can, and fight them, push them back. But if the Vanguard or their shepherds or wandering wood people, like foragers. Don't know why I said bird there. It's one of those nights. Dallas's Discord also is probably using up too much RAM. But, like, if they catch them out camping, they will, raid them in return. So it's kind of a delicate balance of what do you say, like I said, like a game of tag. They run it, back and forth. Now, to Conrad's points, if you want to make sure to sweep the coast immediately before operation begins, you can do that. But we can also kind of, now that it's been said, we can kind of take it as a granted.
Yeah. I guess just make a group checklist of things we're going to do pre and during.
Well, yeah, we'll like I said before, we'll need to have, a combination of in and out of character yap about like what your tactics and strategic goals are, because I will need to figure out what and where to write up for this. So you guys will be able to build a checklist.
I feel it's a thing of we just have to wait till it comes up, like where it's like a week or two before it in game, and then we just rewind to when we all made all plans.
However we think. All right. There's a couple of other things to discuss. Like I said, is there anything else about the Ivory Corsairs?
No, we'll have to probably try to actually get some actual actionable intelligence on them, but that will probably involve some actual roles and spying and stuff.
Yep.
I
need
just
to figure
wanna
out to put Konrad out there with his spyglass and his good eyes.
Good eyes. And then blam.
What were you saying, Dallas?
I just wanted to. Did you hear that, or am I cutting out?
You're cutting out.
You're not cutting out. You're just stuttering. Speak.
Okay. Sorry. No, it's my Discord has been off and on for the last like 20 minutes, so just
Weird.
letting you know that I might not catch all of this.
Okay. I need to refill my water, and we're at about we're over actually, but we're at about a couple of hours. So let's take another break ski.
Break ski. Pausing.
Okay. We had to debate whether we're all here, and that's very questionable, but we're all in the call, so we're back to it.
Come back to Doom.
Doom? Doom? All right. So, with the... Sorry, I just had to fight myself really hard not to say Ivory Islands, but in a funny way. Ivory Islands. Like, why we like that?
Ivory Corsairs.
In my head, I was like, how would you do that? It's like, oh.
Well, then I guess I'm glad I said it, because Loth was like, oh, I don't see how we would do that. Don't think there's a way I can't say English words funny like some sort of Monty Python skit. It's only a model.
Okay.
Anyway, now that I've invoked Holy Grail, we got to get out of here. So, the next order of business that the free folk want to discuss is the prophecy.
The prophecy.
The prophecy.
Actually, that's a very good question. Do you guys have the text of the prophecy handy, or would you like me to repost it?
Repost, please.
I think we have it pinned.
Riposte, por favor.
I can post it again anyway.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I also.
I do.
Okay, you do. All right. So I won't.
Sorry, I
I
didn't
won't
mean to hide you there,
because X found it. That's okay.
We
Also,
got
I
it
was going to
pinned.
say to Lucky, yes, no. That's the crazy thing I was thinking about when we took that last break. Was it's only been like with
feels
breaks
like it's
probably
been-
2.5 hours. We started a
feels
little
like
late,
it's
but
been-
we're being weird today.
It feels like it's been simultaneously 5 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We do need to take a break from rain, maybe.
We'll see how it goes. But like, I think I just need something that like doesn't give me stress headaches.
I
That's
just
okay, yeah, we
need
We can relax a little and try something else for a little bit to see. Anyway,
metabolism.
he can't even say metabolism. Anyway, the prophecy has been relinked. You know, White Tree and the Burning Tree, ghosts, bones, tears, treasure, Lady of Thorns, etc. So, with that in mind, I will say how should I phrase this? The different representatives are not all equally committed, I guess, to the prophecy. If you want to take a poll, Sylvain believes in it pretty strongly. I think Hollow Longhand believes in it seems to follow the notes along pretty well. Bowman Bertolum is like, he's still young, so he's kind of, shrugged shoulder, like, well, nobody's ever solved the prophecy to me, so I don't know. Don McIntosh and Captain Zanga are kind of the more curious one. Do I want to just give you this guy for free or like? No. I think this is important background information, not necessarily a hidden fact. I should give you guys some stuff to go on, regardless of dice rolls sometime. So, Don McIntosh, he does not necessarily disbelieve in the prophecy, but he seems kind of like, almost like how Fiona was when you first met her, because she knew of it, but did not necessarily want to seem like a true believer. He seems more to be in the camp that, like, okay, well, if the prophecy gets solved, that's all well and good. What are we gonna do if we don't solve the prophecy, right? Like, that's why he led with the led in with the conversation with the segue about the Corsairs. So he doesn't necessarily disbelieve the prophecy. It's just he's more concerned with action items. I don't want to say Captain Zanga is openly a skeptic, but she, if you guys asked her about it, I would say her opinion would basically be like, well, Irontown's not mentioned anywhere in the prophecy, so that's not my fucking problem.
Aren't they pretty close to Mother's Tears, though? Wouldn't they like the volcano to be off?
Yes, she would like the volcano to be off, but that's a practicum. She's not necessarily in it for there because there are non-prophecy hazards she has to worry about.
Omega, I've
That's
got
my
it.
final bullet point.
Yeah,
Yeah?
It's like a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh thing. It doesn't name check the thing she cares about.
Yes, that's a way to phrase it. Yeah, it doesn't name the things she's as interested in. But yeah, so that's kind of where they are in the disposition about it. So basically, Don will still run through the interpretation of the prophecy as far as he says it, as he can figure it, but it seems like the free folk at large. Hold on, I'm going to take a refreshing sip of water. I had to hydrate mid-sentence. So, to their understanding, an alliance must reclaim Torknok, the Castle of Runes. Mm-hmm. That's supposed to be the White Tree and the Burning Tree. So, that could refer to House Logi. Since the Burning Tree is mentioned, deep followers of the prophecy would accept House Logi as allies, and that could kind of loop back into the comments about Guthrum's bones. It would basically, if Logi teamed up with the Fogveil to capture Torknok, the Castle of Runes, that would basically kind of complete the circle. That would metaphysically complete your quest to punish Guthrum for his misdeeds, which the Northern Alliance never managed. They were stopped at the Field of Fools outside. So that's, like I said, that's one thing that, based on how different peoples follow the prophecy, will be important to you, specifically as House Logi, not just as the Viceroy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Torknag, the Castle of Ruins, is said to be cursed and haunted, so it'd probably be a good idea to see what's going on there anyway. You know, if you ask them, oh, well, what's Torknag like? They're like, well, we don't know. It's cursed. Nobody goes there. It's cursed, haunted.
No, I think Inos is definitely of the opinion, and it's like, prophecy or not, many of the places that seem to be listed in this prophecy seems to be areas of conflict and interest anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, the the Forest of Bones used to be a mammoth graveyard. It's now turned into a bog. It's called the Swamp of Bones, and is considered to also be, you know, haunted and full of restless spirits of the dead and particularly dangerous monstrums. So that's probably out there. Following along, you know, the idea is specifically somebody needs to figure out where the fuck Guthrum One Eye's bones are. I wrote in my notes his accursed bones. They got to be destroyed somehow, and then the eternal eruption of Mother's tears must cease. Exactly we go about that, we don't know. But also, there are a couple of other bullet points, you know, at the end of the prophecy. There's something to do with the accursed treasure of the Lindworm, the great water dragon that was slain by the ancestor of House Knucker. So that may have something to do with either whatever House Knucker's traditional, you know, holdings were. They used to have a township called Knuckerhole, which would be nearby the Lake Bastion, but not exactly the same place. But, you know, killing the water dragon was supposed to give the progenitor of House Knucker, you know, a shitload of treasure. So if that treasure is, you know, cursed, perhaps with his dying breath, the dragon was like, you can have my gold, but fuck you. As dying curses go. So that one, the prophecy is, how would I say this? Yes, treasure is freed. That one's a little ambiguously worded.
Mm-hmm.
What's not so ambiguously worded is we got to do something about the Lady of Thorns.
Yes, no.
She's in the Runewood. She's fucking it up. That is like the number one thing that concerns the Verdant Sepul people sect. The heart of their wood is always in winter, and when it's actually winter, that makes the heart of the wood double winter, which is double bad. So like that's got to do something about that. And I think Enos's assessment is like, even if the prophecy isn't literally true, all of these areas seem like focal points of negative energy, the bad juju,
And maybe
around the Fogveil.
Maybe etherical
Yes.
imbalances.
Yes. Based on your understanding of the ley line theory and the way that's supposed to work, these places were all probably places of power that have had their natural etherical flow fucked up. You know for a fact that the Aether is very goofed in the Runewood. Like, you guys went through this whole arc when it was like raining during early summer, where it was like the ground is thirsty because the forest, being in eternal winter, is probably sucking up a lot of natural water Aether.
The forest is thirsty, yet it cannot drink.
That's terrifying.
I require water, brother.
You guys
Lots
don't
of
like.
water
I won't even
everywhere.
need Enos to
Another
roll
drop to
anything,
drink.
or any of you to roll anything to understand that volcanoes don't erupt for 500 years. That's not how that's supposed to work. Like if your understanding of how like the etherical like currents and the ley lines work, that means that Mother's Tears is basically constantly letting out deep fire and like deep earth umbral energy constantly. Like that is supposed to be a more natural occurrence of it. If you can throw winter into the volcano, that might work.
So technically, Omega, there's a volcano that erupted almost continuously for 1,400 years. But that's an ocean volcano, so those are a bit different.
Yeah, to your understanding of the phenomena of volcanoes, that's not normally how that works.
Yeah.
Because
It's called
in real life, plate tectonic and
Stromboli.
shit. That's right, it is a Stromboli volcano. deep ocean volcano. Having once wanted to be a volcanologist, deep ocean volcanoes are different than many land-based volcanoes. You guys don't know about fault lines and shit, but we can blame it on ley lines.
Also, Stromboli is not an undersea volcano. It's above ground. It's one of the 4 major ones in Italy. I just looked this up. But it has been erupting for like the past 2,000 to 5,000 years. But it just hasn't been serious. It's been low pressure.
Yeah.
It's just a weird one. It is correct. That is not normal.
Yeah, I guess I should say it's not natural to have a continual, apparently large-scale eruption for 500 years. Like, Mother's Tears is still vomiting, smoke and ash constantly so that it blocks out the sun in a lot of areas. And the region around it is called the slag heap because it is, constantly leaking lava onto the surface, which is not normal. You don't know necessarily if like Torknok specifically is connected with anything place of power wise, but it is said to be cursed and filled with legions of the dead. That could be something like you experienced at Lorelei Rock, where there was like a buildup of incorrect etherical energy. And there is the comment about or rather the free folk of the Hidden Valley have described to you. They have something they call the white sapling. The last cutting of the white rune tree. So there's a sacred tree inside Torknok, which is supposed to be important, based on what Logi Torchbearer told you. Trees, stones, rivers, mountains, etc. Honestly, it's technically a retcon, but Logi Torchbearer also probably should have told you something about, the interplay of fire. But he may have figured that, fire mountains and lakes of fire are obviously a point of interest. Anyway, let's see.
Nice. It's like, my descendants are smart enough to figure that out.
I mean, honestly, once you figured out that there was a lake of fire under the tomb, you were definitely like, or once you heard there might be a lake of fire that's gone missing, you were like, that's probably important. We should find that. But yeah, you like I said, you guys already know that the Aether is disrupted in several of these points. Mother's Tears is probably pretty direct. The Heart of the Runewood is pretty direct. Torknot could be bad. Something going on with the Lindworm's treasure. That'll be later points you guys will have to work on. This is technically lower down on my notes, but I did write this down because we were discussing it. While, Leslok has said aloud personally to like Fiona and some others that you guys are interested in, addressing the prophecy because you might be in it. The free folk are not really looking to you to commit to fixing it like right now. They have lived in the Fogveil for 500 years. They don't feel a sense of urgency. Like they would like these issues to be solved, but they have been, observing them, dealing with them, possibly working on them for, hundreds of years. And they will specifically caution you because it is the one you guys did peg as the closest. Sylve and the others don't recommend trying to fuck with the Lady of Thorns now because it is currently late summer. You are past midsummer and will only get closer to winter as time goes on.
Well, Omega, I do want to remind you that we did say that dealing with the Ivory Raiders would probably be the only major thing we could do this time. I don't think we have any plans to do anything else in the Fogveil.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, that was out of character. You guys talked to me about that. I'm saying that in character, during this conversation with the Fogveil, they have no assumptions that you would go that. So if you want to tell them in character that, like, working your plans this year are to just work on the Corsairs and to do it basically next season.
I thought I did. I could have sworn that I mentioned that, due to, winter coming on, that we would only be able to deal with the Ivory Raiders this year. Am I crazy?
No, you did say that.
Yeah, I don't think I've registered that as phrased that way. In the fall, you're going to work on it. Like there are no future plans.
Yes, because that's why we brought them, like supplies and stuff to make sure that they get through the winter, because we'll not be able to offer them like any like more support outside of that.
Yeah, sorry. I think in my mind I filed that note as that was about like the work, right? Like talking about like rebuilding the pass and stuff. Like
I guess that was kind of and
yeah, that was earlier in the conversation. That's my bad. But yes, so like I said, I usually write big blobs of notes, and sorry, I almost said that off the cuff in a way that might be rude. I won't be passive aggressive about it. Axe was fretting about not working on the prophecy sooner, so I wrote these notes to explicitly assuage those fears. But you're right. Inos did already pitch that you guys are not necessarily going to do anymore. I think I will still say that, like, if you're thinking about future planning for next year, the Vale folk are of the opinion that around midsummer would probably be the best time to challenge the Lady of Thorns. That would be when winter is the furthest away.
Okay.
If you... No, I'll mention as an aside note. You guys aren't planning on working on any prophecy stuff. If you did, you could consider visiting Lake Bastion to investigate the long-lost treasure of the Lindworm, because Bo and Bertram would let you know that even in winter, the lake is deep enough, it does not freeze properly. So they can still, travel to and fro by boat to the lake to visit. And Nucker was a house focused on trade and exchange of knowledge previously. So, like, when you guys are ready to hit them up for prophecy knowledge, you may want to pop up to Lake Bastion first, because they have records and stuff. And you could technically do that in winter, but obviously that's not your current plan. I don't actually know if you guys want to bother them with the minutia of, like, you're planning a trip to somewhere else and just say you already have plans for winter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is funny because these notes are actually stuff I wrote in a concluding paragraph later, but I have a last bullet point of stuff going on with the Fogveil that they want to introduce you to.
Okay.
And this is technically... Whoop. Sorry, I accidentally dragged something into the bulleted list. This is technically non-prophecy problems that they have. That, again, they are not looking for instant solutions to, but they would have to bring up. Obviously, one thing that is still ongoing and is kind of part of why Zanga is not as concerned with the prophecy, the Vaults of Irontown. They have vaults under the mountain, under the Hollow Mountain. They used to be owned and possibly maintained by the Iron Demons, and the Ironlanders don't go in there. If there's any, a process to keep them, spiritually and ritually pure, they didn't know it. Their rule is, Zanga can say to you, their rule is they do not go into the vaults.
This might be where we might need some Iron Demon intervention.
Yeah. Like, I think Zanga would look like straight at Inos and basically be like, we're mercenaries, but some of our ancestors may have fought in the war, but they, deserted when things went bad. But we now are not like, thieves and grave robbers. The vaults don't belong to us. They are filled with shit we do not understand. We don't go there. They do not have, like... Well, actually, I should say, they may or may not have legends about, any hidden treasures left by the Iron Demons behind. But it's the general opinion of the Ironlanders that, like, that's obviously bait. We don't go there. What are you going to do with cursed-ass demon treasure? Don't do that. So... strange monstrum come out of the vaults, and they poke them, or shove them back, kill them when they come out, but they don't really go back in. Or I should say the Ironlanders go back in. The monsters obviously probably go back in, but yeah. So there is some underground ruin stuff that they don't really fuck with and don't know what to do about. And the second is that there is one more faction besides... Sorry, my notes I wrote this as, besides the Free Folk, the Corsairs, and the Monstrum. In the east and north, in the worst off parts of the Fogveil, there is one more tribe. They call them the Eaters, short for the Eaters of the Dead. Yes, this is a Michael Crichton reference. They live near the slag heap, not directly in it because that's all lava plain, and inhabit the caves in the eastern mountain ranges where House Salamandra used to flourish, but they were probably mostly wiped out. The Eaters are like even... Well, they're not slavers, so they're not worse than the Corsairs, but they're just as bad than the Corsairs in a different way. They are completely, like, uneducated, savages and wild men, or worse, they are cultists and heretics who worship monsters. They pay homage to the monstrum. And they're called the Eaters because, in case you didn't get it, they are so desperate for food, they consume the flesh of both monstrum and men, including eating their own kin. The free folk don't know how numerous they are or what exactly their disposition are. It's just known that if you go to the northeast of the Fogveil, you are very likely to run into Eaters, and they are not friendly. So if you want to go to Torknock or Mother's Tears, you will enter their territory.
Wasn't the northeast section where the formal Iron Demon Holts were?
Yes, you guys were kind of up those northeastern mountains.
Okay.
Also, fun fact, something you guys may want to remember to bring up to Countess A. That's where her ancestral pass into the Fogveil is. That's Castle Polari is way in the northeast line.
Yeah, we might want to caution Countess A against opening that pass so soon, because I know she was talking about doing it.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are and I will say, this is a later edition, but I did come up with this because I was looking at the map I drew, and I was just like, there obviously Mother's Tears directly is kind of a no man's land, but there is a decent number of land north and east of Irontown. What's going on there? And I'm like, well, I do like the movie 13th Warrior and the novel Eater of the Dead. Yeah, Eater of the Dead is what the Crichton novel was originally called. So I'm like, can I work with that? Yeah, we can work with that. So there are, cannibal wild men, possibly monstrum cultists, which is like super heretical. As we say, this was mentioned in the fluff description for Infernal Command. Consorting with devils is against the Septascript. So that's going to be a thing you guys are going to have to deal with that is not mentioned in the prophecy. Simple logic test. The Eaters of the Dead don't come up in the prophecy because the prophecy was made by the last Rune Lord. I forget his exact name. It starts with a G. But as he, lay dying and was born to the Hidden Valley, he cast the runes in his own blood and, interpreted them as the prophecy. The Eaters of the Dead probably weren't a problem when he said that.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. Well, is that their immediate? Is there any more of their immediate problems they want to bring up?
No, that is their last concern is mentioning the non-prophecy problems, and other than again the general monstrosity of the Fogveil, that's it.
What did we didn't bring swords for them because they have a distinct culture about their swords, but we did bring other weapons like spears and stuff.
Yeah, you brought hunting weapons and tools to distribute.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they need to make some more swords, you did tell Fiona it was okay for them to melt down all the pirate cutlasses and sabers and knives they had.
Yeah. So they should. So I'm not going to say they're going to have an easy winter, but their chances this winter should be better than they ever had before, at very least.
I mean, actually, here's a good call for it. Roll your student of logistics. You've got a skill for this.
Oh, I do! Yay!
Roll it.
It all works
let's
out.
see if you can guesstimate their stuff.
Sixes.
Also, by the way, I know Dallas is fucking his brain is melting, but I did also have in my notes that in addition to spread some drum code around and talk about hiring the Vanguard to serve as guides for scouts, scholars, and traveling merchants. One of these notes is you're planning on bringing medical corps sent by the royal physician.
No, I
So-
would address the council. Is that a fair thing to call this?
Kinda like council.
Representatives.
Representative. Yeah, that's better. I would address the representatives, saying that we would like to extend medical care and medical workers for the people of the Fogveil, as well as any visiting. Oh God, what do we want to call them? Because they're not
Don't
going to
call
be
them
tourists at
adventurers
first.
yet.
It's not going to be tourists first. I was going to say pilgrims, but that's too like religious-y.
Visitors.
Foreigners.
What was that?
Just foreigners.
Yeah, you could say that.
But yeah, no. I would bring a note that I would have gotten from Lady Remedius. I would not have been able to translate it to Runic, so I would probably ask who in our party speaks Runic.
We have many.
I
Yeah.
A lot of people
Yeah,
besides me.
That's why I laughed.
No, fair. I should ask. I'll have. You know what? I'll have Konrad translate.
does he?
Uh,
I guess so.
Yeah, Conrad does. He rolled earlier.
Yep. I have 3 ranks in it.
Yeah.
You can
No,
roll
Conrad-
your
Con-
if you. Good.
I say Conrad does definitely give us some side to some of these longer words, though.
No, I don't think Lady Remedius is going to get all fancy in it. She's very.
Yeah.
Some of the special words that Nicola may have used, you might have got to work on, but you can figure out the right runic compounds. If
Yeah.
you so desire to roll your runic skill, you may roll your knowledge runic skill, but you've had again months to prep it, so you don't need to roll.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to cycle back, because Nicola will present that document. Enos, you got 6s. There we go.
Yes.
And 1s, but I was like, is anything better than the 1s? Logistically, you crunch some numbers in your head. You mentally tally what the donations from Cheval that you're going to be receiving in the fall are going to be. Not account you. I will say with your sets, you do not choose to account for any spoils of war for the Corsairs because you do not know how that will go.
Yeah.
But based on the information you have right now, yes, they're based on the I guess we'll say they don't have like a head count, but they can suggest to you how big their populations are.
Mhm.
Based on that information, they should have ample supplies for as comfortable a winter as you can have in Norlon anyway.
Yeah.
They are not in dire need of food and supplies. You've made sure that despite in spite of any current or future disruptions, they have enough, warm clothes. They've got tools. They should be okay to continue as they have been, if not a little better.
Okay. Yeah.
So, actually, I should say, it reminded me. I just remembered if there is like one I won't say point of contention, but one thing to observe with both your own tallying and that the letter that Nicola presented and explained. The only thing that is like a thing to note is that currently, while they do, respect you, they respect both the authority of the High King and the title of Viceroy, and they respect, you guys personally because you did hunt a demon boar with Fiona, so like you guys have personal chops, you fought pirates and all that stuff with them. This comes up when mentioning medical people coming in. In that case, they would probably bring their sick and injured to you because they still do not consider you guys close enough friends for them to reveal the exact location of the hidden valley and all of their, secret passwords and stuff. If you want to ask about that, basically the way they kind of do it is it's kind of like on a personal, like a person-to-person basis.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I wasn't gonna question it. Like even though we show up with like all this stuff, we still just fucking met. It's like I'm
Yeah, I
not.
know. Like you guys have only been operating the Fogveil for a couple of months, so like they're not regretful, but like I said, like Don McIntosh would, have a very somber look on his face and like nod and be like, listen, we respect you, we appreciate your help. We're gonna join in forces with you and destroy the Corsairs. That's cool.
These guys, I don't mean to cut you off, but these guys have been living this way for like 500 years. All these processes are based off of like, centuries of caution and safety. They can't just overturn them for every Joe Schmo that shows up. Enos will basically, try to put their minds at ease that, we understand and, we look forward to, to doing that.
They appreciate your understanding, yes. And literally, you said I don't mean to cut you off. That's literally what I was gonna say. Like the next words out of Dawn's mouth were gonna be, "We've been doing this for 500 years." So yeah, no, like their process. They don't have a like written down rules for this process. It's just that it takes time and effort for them to feel like it, and he hopes that one day you'll be good enough friends that, they can show you the hidden passageway into the, the secret passages into the hidden valley and show you because like, and maybe it's a little hometown pride, but they're happy about, kind of their society they've built, when the sun peeks over the mountains and hits the windmills just right kind of a thing.
Inos does want to take this opportunity to speak of a bit of caution from their side. While we are not planning on opening the Fogveil publicly to whoever may wish to travel, we'll be focusing mostly on, efforts to rebuild logistics and whatnot. There are still going to be people who are going to try and slip in for a variety of reasons and causes. Inos will explain that we are going to do our best to make sure that everyone who comes is someone who is proper, but once basically spring comes to be, basically says that their cautious mentality is probably very good and should extend that just in case they run into any new strangers come the new year. I'm sorry if I kind of muddled that, but do you get what I'm saying?
No, I understand perfectly what you mean. Yeah. I think they would bring up a twofold point. One is they would ask about ways they can know people you vouch for, and you can probably explain that you are probably going to give them letters of marque might be a little too rigid for the people of Fogveil understand, but you will give them some kind of, official token that shows that they are approved by the Viceroy, I assume.
Yeah.
So they can work with that. The second is they're going to ask you, okay, so unauthorized people, how do you want us to handle that? Do you want us to catch them and return them to you to face, the Viceroy's justice, or should we deal with them as we would deal with trespassers?
Honestly, this is I would like to speak, but this is honestly a viceroy decision.
How do we deal with trespassers?
Like, would you like my opinion?
Spoilers. That's how they would deal with trespassers.
It's like I don't think anyone else is going to get their opinion.
Yeah, sorry, I said that as a joke, but when I say huddle, I mean I give you a moment to confer.
Yes. Personally, I think that if what they do is like light enough and does not cause offense, yes, please catch them and send them back to St. Conscious. But if they violate some taboo, do some heinous crime such as murder, stealing, something that, that the Fogveil feels that they must enact justice, then yes, we should let them enact justice. Like, at least, and because, like I said, we have. Sorry, I'm blanking. Like, while we do have, we have the King's Law and stuff. We also do have stuff like, common law and whatnot. So we have not actually like fully brought order to this area. So expecting the people to, fully to that order when they're not used to it, I think is a little rough.
Let's keep it in the spirit of it.
Yeah. So I would say if the trespassing is done lightly and no harm has been done, please return them so we can send them back. But if they have actually committed crimes against your people, to take the matter in your hand, but please inform us so that we may make records of it.
Yeah, like keep records.
We don't want to be dealing with like missing persons.
If you're going to do basically doing this thing, make sure you
Missing
keep records
person
so we can like if we're gonna do our end of it, do your end of it too, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, so I think you came to the conclusion. I was just going to say, so the idea is, but I'll recap for everybody. Basically, you want to pitch it as if you just find people moving around the Fogveil unauthorized, like people they don't know who aren't bearing your mark, catch them and throw them back, basically, return them to you.
I was just thinking
If they commit,
release.
yes, catch and release. If these strangers commit crimes, they are free to punish them as they would see fit, keeping in mind that they are operating like Lucky just said on the like old school common law kind of rules.
Yes. Maybe
so. Yes, if we are okay with that recap.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like going here is.
Yep.
If you're gonna go in that place, you gotta understand it's dangerous.
No. Oh yeah, you guys I think you're gonna pitch the danger. It's just that the problem is that humans are humans, so some people are gonna be like, "I like danger."
No, this
It's
is why
dangerous. There must be treasure.
That's how he lost a hand.
Well, this is why Inos wanted to bring this up, because while our cooperation will have many benefits, well, there also will be complications. And Inos thinks it's better to be upfront with them and think of a solution now than than trying to come up with things in the moment.
Yes, so they will with that recommendation, you have the huddle, you go back, and yes, so their plan is going forward is if they just find trespassers to turn them over to the Viceroy's forces appropriately, but if they're criminals, they are free to punish them as they would normally.
So I think that
You want to go to bed?
I think that's everything.
Yeah, if that's everything from you guys, that is everything in my bulleted list of concerns. So we discussed, the strategic goals of the Viceroy. You built relations. You exchanged the money, so you guys have. Important to note, you officially lease. You shake hands on it.
Mm-hmm. Someone takes a picture.
And by somebody takes a picture, Estelle does a courtroom sketch. Actually, honestly, I said that as a joke. Estelle probably would want to. I think she's going to do that. I'll commit to that. Don't let me forget about that. She's going to paint, Leslok and the probably Dawn like shaking hands over the table about stuff. Like you said earlier, this is kind of a historic moment. Usually the representatives of the 5 sanctuaries don't all get in one room together, and it's been literally centuries since they would have gotten in the same room as the head of House Logi, representatives of the royal family type shit.
Yeah.
So this will be a sick painting you can hang in the Grand Company Hall later.
Rad.
Radical.
Also, it's the whatchamacallit, it's the give a mouse a cookie problem, We got a cat to chase the rat, dog to chase the cat, etc. Nursery rhyme shit. Which you guys are also planning on avoiding for the Fogveil.
That's what we're trying to do, yeah.
All right, well, if that is everything,
We're not going to release poisonous toads to solve our problems?
yeah, that would be a bad idea.
I will track you down. I have a set of skills.
I was gonna say, don't load toads into catapults and throw them at your enemies.
I would say, unlike those people, I actually listen to my scientists.
I mean, yeah, no, you do listen to your advisors. If you guys wanted to kind of talk to any of these characters, this would probably be the right time for it if you want to ask any like personal non-meeting questions. Otherwise, there will probably be a sufficient amount of, not make work, but like bureaucratic stuff, like actual hammering out timing, logistics, etc. Like I said, Leslok can draft up maps of like what the actual lease covers, kind of a thing, and share them and so on and so forth.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
That's a little thing, but like, Inos would like to confer with Fiona and the Marquess and ask, do you think it'd be too much favoritism if we try to outfit a van, Fiona's van with maybe better like equipment, so that they'd be better able to defend Svartisport because they'll be basically stuck in one location? He's also asking Fiona's opinion on that. Because, like I said, we don't want to seem like we're being overly favorite to Fiona's van. We have worked together, so I would like to, nurture that relationship. But a relationship of just giving them stuff is not great. So it's like, if we were to outfit them, would that send the wrong message? Because I would like...
Fiona kind of stops to think about it, and she says, because, she was listening along earlier. Actually, this is a really good time for me to check how much...
because the
I've talked about this. Fiona is illiterate in Crownish, but I don't think she's an idiot. Let me actually check what's her set of skills.
Because it's not like necessarily a favorite team. I just want Fiona's van to be as effective as possible in the area if we're going to be relying on them to protect, Svartisport while we're getting, everything set up.
Yeah.
Well,
tactics 3 plus ED, knowledge 3, so average to above average learning, and does have a high level of tactical knowledge. She's got some good strategy, got some good lore, got many fun weapon skills. Anyway, she has 3 dice in weapon blowgun.
Oh yeah, they use a poison here. I forgot. I keep forgetting about that specialty poison they got.
How long,
they have a special poison for monster.
Poison. I don't think I could make them special poisons since that actually lasts long enough.
When do I get the spell that lets my weapons be permanently poisoned?
I need a spell that lets me be more cohesive.
Poison assault.
Sorry, I can't give you Mentat elixir in real life.
No, I already take that Omega.
Yeah. That later was for Lucky. Yes, no, I have one of those for later. I have
Excellent.
I have the make the steel poison.
Excellent.
But yeah, based on what Fiona thinks. Also, funnily enough, I now know what I remember what the rune is because she knows it. It's Stalking Orca rune. So she can make herself good at swimming in ocean. But Fiona says, she thinks about it and she's like, well, I kind of say I understand exactly what you were talking about later with that economics. But the basic business is in... No, I think Fiona is... Sorry, I almost said radicalized. That's not the right word. I think Fiona's almost acclimatized now to say in the normal world. Like Fiona's come around to the opinion that the Fogveil is not fucking normal. But that's okay. That means she's gonna work on that one. But she would say, in the normal world, you exchange, coin for goods and services. Here we just barter. While the Conclave is willing to send the Vanguard as part of our agreement, you are leasing the land from us in exchange for coin. That does not mean that you could not exchange more for it. So if my band is to serve as the guards here, the Vanguard for this specific location, it would probably be all right if you proffered us better arms and armor as part of that exchange. You did talk about wanting Vanguards to serve as, local guides. So you want to make sure that your guides and guards are properly equipped.
Inos will nod to this.
She kind of pauses, purses her lips, and says, it would probably be best if there was... She raises a hand to be like, I phrase it this way to say that this is how we should make it look. Not, I mean it literally. Viceroy, nods to Leslok. it would probably go over smoothest if some amount of tribute was offered to the Hidden Valley, to make them feel like they are not excluded from this, but it would not need to be large. Some small masterwork examples of your fine weapons and armor, if nothing else, to give our smiths something to study.
Inos, is on the side nodding, but he will wait for the Marquess for the Viceroy to speak.
I'm like nodding along, sorry, just throwing.
All right, yes. So you nod in agreement, and so she kind of like claps her hands and also nods.
Konrad just phases into the conversation.
Yeah, I know. I phrased it that specifically because
he
I've covered
someone
with
joining
that's
the
interesting.
Discord call.
But yes, I think we can definitely do that. We'll get some fine works to outfit your van. We'll avoid swords. We know that those mean much to you, but armor, equipment, good knives, axes, spears.
She kind of nods and says, "As much as I'd like my lads to have new swords, it." She kind of pauses and just says, "It wouldn't be quite right." She taps the hilt of her own blade and basically be like, "My own blade has, the names of my ancestors going back generations, so it's, not quite the same to get a shiny new one." If you wanted to make some new swords to offer to some new members of the Vanguard who take their oaths, that would probably work.
Konrad's in this conversation, right? Are you?
I'm assuming you're having it in the same room, so it's like Konrad's just like doing his own thing, and then he hears forging swords. He's like, "Hmm?"
Oh, then Inos will look around and be like, and say, "Konrad, a moment, would you?" And motion you over.
Yes, I think I heard some interesting words there for a second.
Yes, you heard the word forge and sword. Yes.
Yes.
That's like, Konrad, how long do you think it would take to, set up like a forge in Svartesport?
Well, last time we were here, it was pretty dark. I would probably first look to see if I could find the old one. Might save us some time moving a bunch of heavy rocks. If it could be recovered, then day or two, I imagine you can probably get it running.
Like I said, we're discussing outfitting Fiona's van, and while we can do many things like knives, axe, spears, and armor, swords has a specific meaning to them, as you know. So, rather than bringing them swords, we should teach them how we make swords.
Sounds like a mighty fine idea to me.
Would you find that?
Fiona kind of like is kind of like glancing around, and she's like, well, there was definitely a smithy in this keep. I think those ragged old pirates made it work again, but obviously the fires have gone cold. We'll check. I didn't know if they brought an iron anvil, but they probably had a stone anvil and had some tools left over.
Not to mention, we'll probably want to bring over some smiths anyway to help maintain finer aspects and do any other work that may to be done. Yes, no, I think this would work fine. We'll deliver some fine work so that we may send the works all over the Fogveil. We'll prioritize getting the smith and forge set up here for both making for the free folk sword and maintenance, and we'll outfit Fiona's van with other goods. I think that will work out quite well.
Everybody kind of nods along. I think that kind of at this moment, Captain Zonga kind of comes up, throws an arm around Fiona's shoulder and says, "I hear you talking to my sister's daughter. Now, if you be wanting help, obviously, the van is perfectly fine, but never forget, the Ironlanders, as I said, will work for pay. But if you're talking about forging, we'll definitely want some of our own smiths to come down and observe. If and you don't mind.
And so like, no, I think I can speak for this. Like, we most certainly would not. I think a sharing of knowledge would benefit everyone in this situation.
The old Hollow Hill still has some iron sands we get out, but well, she nods towards the equipment you guys are bearing. Inos, you have a living metal chain, tied around your waist. Konrad is covered in masterwork blades. High level swords. Logesh has a brand new rapier. Like.
Yeah.
Hell, even like Nicola doesn't carry, blades on him anymore, but he has a weird shiny metal prosthetic arm now.
Yeah.
Like,
yes. We bling it.
So, So like she kind of nods to like take in your group's accoutrements and says, I haven't seen them in action, but I can see that you're carrying many fine things.
I was like, yes, if you like do actually I'm assuming. I'm pretty sure Vernon Supple doesn't have any smiths, but does the Hidden Valley, Fogveil, and the other places have smiths?
Yes. Their focus is in different areas, but yeah, they have the equivalent of various what you would think of as in guild terms blacksmiths. Like Bertolem, joked about you offering to pay them a bunch of arrowheads, so like they make arrowheads out of a variety of materials, including hammering them out. The Wings of Winter Mountains like actually have some old, iron and copper mines. The people of Frostfed don't have the manpower to work them at a high level, but they have, metalworking left over. And for a fact that the Hidden Valley, the free folk there have, because Fiona described it to you, they have what they call the Sky Forge. They have a large open air forge, which was... I don't remember if Fiona said this explicitly, but she'll tell you now for sure. The Skyforge is also permanently aflame. They kickstarted it because, according to the histories, they took some of the fire from Mother's Tears in an iron cask and carted it all the way to the Hidden Valley.
Rad.
So yeah, they have kind of an open air lava forge, which they use for their ironworking.
Well then, like I said, we don't have to get too angry, but we should do a tribute, maybe like some arms and armor to send to each settlement, as tribute, and we'll just extend an invitation that if they want to learn, they should come down to Svartisport to observe and help in our forges, as we get things done.
Yeah. And Zonga basically describes they've got they basically have, the grapevine technology these days. Like, even if you don't necessarily like, she's like, oh, I'm gonna send some space from Irontown for sure here. That's, that's our thing. But even if Frostvad can't send somebody in time, or Lake Bastion can't send somebody in time, that knowledge will travel up the grapevine. It'll go to the Hidden Valley, and then the knowledge will be taken out by the Vanguard, out to other sanctuaries and spread.
Okay.
Might take a little bit, but these people, even at their most standoffish, like Zonga's not an idiot. She would know that you probably observed that, she says it. Me and that big runehead, gestures at where Dawn is probably talking with probably Crown Prince Alias about something, minor point of law, or maybe even Logesh is explaining legal matters to him.
Mm-hmm.
Since Logesh isn't in this immediate conversation, and that sounds like something he'd think was neat. But she just even said, that me and old Runehead over there don't see eye to eye, but we're all in this together. So, the knowledge and stories is the one thing we have that they can't destroy. So we spread it as far as it goes.
Not for that.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. But Inos turned to Konrad. Konrad, would you like to make the tributes to deliver to them?
Sure. Could definitely start working on that once we get back.
I think when you say that, Fiona kind of looks at Konrad and like slow blinks. Hey, so remember how when you guys met up the second time, Fiona's Vanguard brought you guys some House Logi swords?
Yeah.
So like you realize that she's kind of a little not in awe, but like it just realizes some symmetry and is just like, huh. Because, you know, a scion of House Logi is going to make brand new swords after they returned some of your old ancestral swords, and it's just like, wow, it's like poetry, it rhymes.
Nah, it's great. We're going full circle here.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that kind of is what it sounds like. That's what the prophecy is about. Is kind of like, you know, not just punishing all sides for past wrongs, but, you know, going full circle, completing the promise.
But Inos is gonna turn his attention to, was it Captain Zonga? Fuck,
Yes,
Zonga.
I know it's a little odd, but I think I don't remember what language base it is, but yeah.
And it's like, and
Captain Zonga.
basically speak about like her mercenary works. Like I remember you saying that they use like some handgun and stuff. So are her mercenaries more familiar with firearms, or what kind of like weapons do they prefer?
She says, yes, the Ironlanders. Conrad, you have an arquebus. Would you have like a long musket? Would you have brought it with you into the meeting?
Probably not into the meeting.
But you might have it like around, so she might have
Somewhere
have
around,
seen
yeah.
it. Yeah, so she would say they're not as fine as the modern, I guess, works you make, but we still understand the simple, the handgun, the arquebus, the fire lance. There were a few of them left over outside the vaults, and that had been distributed among the locals of the Hollow Mountain, and you know, she casts her one good eye as kind of an aside at Inos and says, I would like to state once again, we didn't go in the vaults.
It's like,
She kind of crosses her arms and says, I'll be practical with you. It's not necessarily about, you know, proper respect and all that, though I think that's part of it. But also, they're bloody haunted.
Inos will, you know,
Sucked ours.
will nod solemnly and so like, as soon as I am able, I will take word back to my own people and see if there's any records of what may be down there and what may be done.
I can't imagine that your people would have intended for all the Gribblies to come crawling out.
No. But
Judging by how they react, I would assume that your people, you know, just hit them with a heavy iron stick. Just, you know, she makes a gesture like downward, just, you know, deeper along the line. In other areas, as you know, the Hollow Mountain's an old extinct volcano, so there is demon fire to be mined there. She kind of eyeballs up, you know, the corner where the fire send is. We'll take that shite too, though. That's what that alchemia.
yes.
Sorcerer's ways. Don't know much about it, but
But Inos will turn back to the Viceroy and be like, this is a mercenary band. We could, you know, barter in firearms.
Powder and shot. That'd be bloody brilliant. I said, we'll work. You know, she turns to you and says, Viceroy, I hope you don't find it rude for me to say, but you seem like a man of means. As I said, the Ironlanders, we got our start as mercenaries. We'll take payment in gold, iron, or bread. It all trades the same up here. But she kind of like pauses and like actually like you know, bounces back and forth on the balls of her feet a little. Oh, powder and shot, modern guns.
We might
Hell, she kind of says, "Don't even need the gun. Give me the just." You know, she nods to Konrad. You're teaching how to smith. Give me the molds to make some new barrels.
Enos isn't quite sure about that one, but
Yeah, because it's like it makes them the biggest power player in the Fogveil.
well, like I said, I don't. Zonga is definitely
power player.
Zonga is definitely probably the most mercenary, but I do not think they're bad people. They understand we're in this together. I do not think they'll go mad with
No,
power
they're-
from it.
Yeah, like
They're
the way
straightforward about what they
their
want.
culture was pitched is like they are the most like mercantile, like mercenary minded, but they also have a culture that kind of respects, you know, strength and mutual aid. Like they are, in some ways, it sounds like they're almost the most egalitarian because they don't have a ruling class. They're just kind of like all bundled together. And if, like, they'll take jobs, they'll obviously, argue amongst themselves. But it sounds like when they have a problem, like their just recourse is just like, oh, it's bad out there, thump them.
But like I said, we don't like I said, we're already going to be teaching them our secrets of smithing, so probably how to make some good, like, metal, maybe not necessarily steel. We don't want to necessarily tip our hand on how to make good guns. Well, at least without them having to fucking work with it. That's something we might want to trade.
I mean, if you kind of like caveat it, and she's like, if you prefer shipments, that's fine.
Yeah.
She kind of smiles, big. She's like I said, she's got a couple of scars. You can probably see she's got a couple of missing teeth, and just be like, me, I'm an easy girl. I've worked for I've done work with she wouldn't say caravans, but like, traveling merchants and shepherds for, mushrooms and berries before. Almost said beans. That's not right.
No.
This motherfucker eating beans.
Well, honestly, like, we probably can't pay in iron, and honestly, I don't know if we can pay in gold, but we probably do have a.
I mean, you can pay in gold. It's just you don't know if that's the message you want to send to, because like they take talents of gold and silver, so you'd basically be paying her in gold bullion.
Yeah, no, let's not. Let's negotiate for powder and shot, maybe, like I say, quote unquote bread. But
not literally bread, but the you understand the meaning of that, of trading for food and powder and shot.
Because like I said, I trust in Fiona's van, but having dedicated because Fiona's van, while they do have bows, it seems a lot of them are very melee oriented. They seem to like do blowguns and get in there.
In military terms, the primary vanguard of the free folk are probably what you would call light infantry. They are skirmishers, raiders, advanced units. They can thump some people in melee, and they do have ranged options. Like you said, they are armed with, simple slingstones, blowguns, and short bows. But that's more like a force multiplier. They use that to harass from range or to ambush. While Zonga's mercenary company are not necessarily heavy infantry, they're going to be armed with like jack of plate, iron, stitched in wool gambesons, maybe some simple chain and splint mail kind of a thing, and probably can field heavier shields, heavier melee weapons because they've got access to more iron to make, big bonkly hammers and axes and stuff.
No,
she's carrying, like I said, looks like a simple machete blade. But if you give them, even if they're crude, if you give them powder and shot for their guns, that means they have ranged reach out and touch somebody power.
No, I'm definitely feeling that we probably want Fiona's van and scouting and patrol, and probably get Captain Zongon's mercs actually on the quote unquote on the wall,
entrenched.
Yeah. So
are you planning on building fortifications? And also, actually, just a fun tactical observation. You guys do know that there used to be coastal fortifications built in the high walled cliffs and fjords of Svardis. God forbid, should any Ivory Islanders decide to sail up the fjord and try and capture this port that will suddenly be full of merchants, tradesmen, and goods, they could definitely hang up there and chuck rocks and shoot guns.
Do we want to set up the cannons up there to give them what for? We do got 12 of them.
You do have 12 cannons. You could set some cannons and do the what for. Cannons are big and heavy, so you're pretty sure that Zonga's boys couldn't, steal them. They have animals. They don't have their pack animals are going to be like mules.
Yeah, no.
Donkeys, not even.
No.
So they're not going to be hauling around a 12-gun artillery regiment in their backyard.
No. But like I said, that wasn't the thing. I want to outfit Fiona. I want to hire on Zongun's merc for defense of Svardis port. And probably, depends on farthest port and the way for it, honestly. Like I said, that's probably going to be under attack from Monstrum as well. We got a bit of land to cover here.
Like I said, I think Zhang just, again, kind of just smiles, taps his hilt of her sword, and she's like, 4 walls and a roof. Kind of nods to Fiona. You don't get that working for the Vanguard. Fiona just kind of rolls her eyes at her aunt.
Yeah.
I'll take no walls and a blanket in having a good blade and a big band of boys behind you. And I'll take, tents and blankets over a run with those, she nods in the direction of the sea, those kinslayers. She gazes at Inos, but then turns to Leslok, and she's like, I don't know how you're going to do it yet, but if we're right here, you better bloody sign me up for settling the score with those lot. Talking about the Corsairs.
I feel like Leslok would have something like something witty to say there. That's like about how like everyone in due time will get the chance to get their own share of blood, but like I don't know if that's like fitting.
Maybe you should invest in some points in jest, so you can just say, I roll jest. I make people laugh.
You could put some points in jest if you want to. Like, jest doesn't have to be like ha funny. You can use it to have pithy rejoinders. That might be a character note.
Yeah.
I think
just to come up with a one-liner.
Leslok has, the Leon Kennedy special. Leslok has enough points in various social skills that you could say something appropriate, if not necessarily able to say something, quote unquote witty.
Fair.
Are you gonna?
I had something about
no matches.
No, I don't actually.
Enos' humor is lost.
Yes. But.
I mean, Fiona would say though, like on the subject, she would be like, "Well, I've got something." She kind of gets a somber look on her face and says, "I'll have something special for him this time."
This time. Enos kind of quirks an eyebrow and is like, well, assuming you're running with the van, I'm assuming you've had multiple run-ins with the Ivy Raiders before.
Aye, we've repelled their camps a few times. She nods in the direction of Oakhart and says, not as bloody as that one, but I've got a few. And I may not read Crownish, but I have ears. She gestures in the vague direction of those dockside warehouses.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that the local pirates here we're not working. We're not of the Corsairs, but they were working with them, so it's all the bloody same. And she kind of, again, I feel like she should be sharpening a knife as she says this, but that would not be appropriate for the scene. But, just speaks with knife sharpening intent to just be like...
I get the vibe.
I've never seen someone sharpen a weapon with such malicious intent.
Like the good Viceroy said, everyone will get their due in time.
Oh, my.
Stares into the middle distance. They'll answer. They'll answer.
Okay, I think we need a bit of a mood change there. Fiona, do you mind if I ask something probably a bit personal?
We're talking about going to war together. You might as well.
Inos nods. Earlier during the conversation, I heard. How would I refer to Dawn? I wouldn't say Lord. I don't think he'd appreciate being called Lord. Sir? Yeah, I'll just.
You may call him Sir. That seems like a good.
Yeah, Sir. Sir Dawn called you something.
Sirrah.
Was it protected by thunder? Was it?
Yes.
Yes. And so and spoke of a part you must play. And so, like, I must admit, my curiosity is getting the better of me, but I do wish to ask, what did he mean by that?
Fiona, she doesn't exactly like blush or flush, but she does look a little more.
Oh,
Sorry,
shit.
now I must fight Google Chrome to tab.
Oh shit, this was personal.
Um,
She
I'm
flee.
just gonna right click mark Discord is red. I banish you with notifications. Okay, all right. But I want an exact phrase in my notes, so please hold while my notes aren't loading. Actually, I don't think it interests anybody new. Let me close the dramatis for now.
I think this is the last point I have, so we might, like, unless anyone else has anything else, probably can.
I think I'm good.
Well, I was gonna say I feel like we're wrapping up, but also I'm gonna be like, I hope we're wrapping up. I'm getting a little hungry.
Yeah.
Could use a little midnight snacky.
I guess then it's like, what's last to cover, I guess, if you want to do so quickly.
Well, I think Inos said that's his it is his last thing. So like, if there's anything else,
All right.
it's just asking this question, which, like I said, I gotta load a note. Oh, I should say, I think because Dallas is still listening. Earlier I did run through and add all that pyromancy stuff I talked about. So there is a shitload more spells in there, including how attunement works. But like I said,
fire.
Fiona looks, like I said, a little embarrassed, a little nonplussed, you know, like she's not I don't want to say she's not sure, but you know, it's a matter where she's not sure exactly what to say. Sorry, I'm trying to load my giant ass document. I need to. There we go. Now I have access to my tabs. But she says, you know, she kind of, you know, just kind of, you know, folds her arms and then like unfolds them for a second and just, you know, kind of tugs at her ponytail. I think her aunt Zongo just kind of like rolls her one good eye and just being like, this sort of not, they're just talking this sort of, you know, she's not like this little bullshit, but she's talking this sort of spiritual stuff. Fiona says, I didn't take any of it for granted, but they say my birth was foretold by the runes, and it was in the celestial house of the Father of Mountains. So she, you know, she touches a point on her cheek where I've mentioned before she's got these runes. I am marked by, you know, I've been blessed by stone and sky since I was young, and the runes claim I am protected by the Thunderer. I'm not really sure how true that is, but, you know, she holds up her... actually, shit, which one was... I think it was her left hand, but you may recall her casting a spell earlier. She does have a sequential series of runes which say Thunderer, which is the Fogveil specifically way to say Tempestus.
Mm-hmm.
But she has those, you know, the runic thunder, like specifically, like written on her left hand, like in sequence on each finger. So I don't know how true it is, but it is, you know, sometimes said, and that's just what my old cousin was meaning.
Empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and roll it.
It's like, not that she's lying, but is there more to this than she's letting on?
Konrad is purposely not rolling empathy.
No. Fuck.
Right, chooses to take her at her word.
Logesh is not rolling empathy.
Really? No
because he's
matches? Did you
apparently
finally
having
crack?
a lecture.
No, I finally cracked. Son of a bitch.
I'll do it because maybe I'll give my headache a bit.
Well, I mean, yeah, you said yeah, so Konrad is choosing not to. Look, nope. Leslok.
You didn't
Look,
add
is
the
all having a
exclamation
separate
point?
conversation. Look.
Ooh, you got 3 8s.
Okay, all right. If she is holding anything back, I think that would be conscious, but I mean, I don't know, Nicola, if you're observing this conversation. Konrad was explicitly looped in. I don't know if Nicola was, but he can be around. Yeah, I'll roll above the board. Yeah, I know you'd break the sets. Fiona's not a great liar. Inos, you're... I definitely don't want to say too honest. You are a liar's liar, but I feel like perhaps Inos is too earnest to maybe to see anything under there. Leslok, with your keen eyes of flame in this moment, you sense that, yeah, maybe there is some sort of aspect of this story that Fiona is not talking about. Is it because she's embarrassed about it, that people treat her different, or is it part of the, Hidden Valley's nature to conceal things that you can't tell? But yeah, you feel like there might be a little more to it. Unfortunately, to confer with Inos and the others on it, you'll have to do that later in private, because I don't think you'll do it right in front of her.
No, yeah.
So we have missed the moment. But that's okay.
You've observed it for later. I mean, if Leslok has any way he could think to approach it, he would. But like I said, I don't know. I don't even know. Would Inos press right away if he had rolled success on that?
Oh, I definitely would not have, but I probably would have gone and spoken to Captain Zog on the private, because she seems to know what's going on.
Yeah,
and she probably would.
But yeah, basically, like I said, Fiona, says that like she had a what you would think of as a lucky birth. It was during the celestial house associated with Vertum, the month associated with him, and may have been foretold by the runes, and allegedly was protected by signs of the Thunderer. That could just mean that it thundered a lot when she was born.
All right, but
weird. Never mind. This doesn't matter.
There's something we can anchor to that. All right. Well, I think that's going to put an ender to that, and that is everything on your current Fogveil agenda. You guys got to go back to the Roost and plan the Corsairs moment. And first, you guys got to check in on Craig. But I guess I'll say it here, since we did account for all that. Is everybody okay to take a little break from Rain, which will allow me to work on Ivory Island stuff and maybe into Celticy, and do Deathwatch next week?
I'm okay.
How are you feeling?
I'm good.
Thumbs up from me.
Okay. I was very confused. All right, okay. Wow. Sorry, I'm stretching my jaw. All right, well, then we'll wrap that up. That was the episode. Everybody was present. Everybody was in character. Good work. 2 XP.
Yay.
Lucky and Axe wrote notes in the Dramatis over the week. That's 1 more each. Dallas, I'll give it to you. Like, unless you do a Loth and you're like, I volunteer my point as tribute, you can have your 2 XP. When you were speaking out loud, you were in character. Did anybody complete any missions or have any problems come up? I don't think so, because this was mostly one of our infamous sessions where we all stand around a table talking.
I think it went actually pretty well. But
No, it was good. It's just like that.
I think it went well. I just like
harder
I
to
think
work
at
in
I think
Actually,
halfway
holy
through,
shit.
my brain, my headache just started getting worse, and I could not think half the time.
It's okay. Let me roll
oh
some
yeah,
dice real quick.
yes. Unfortunately, I forgot. Yes,
Sixes.
Enos is unwholesome.
Yeah, no, I think that's gonna be. Yeah, take your unwholesome point.
But
This is your first time meeting you. That was probably Don McIntosh.
okay.
He doesn't really seem to have held it against you, Enos. You probably definitely noticed that he would, even when you spoke, he would probably phrase his responses to Leslok or to the princes.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Like, yeah, I mean, and you are well aware that you have that impression or that effect on people sometimes.
Yes.
So yeah, that's problems addressed. Missions. Did anybody resolve-ish?
So I have see the royal party safely through Teine in the Fogveil. Would that be complete? Or are we actually gonna have to?
Yes, I am planning on you guys being back in Stonehearth next time we pick up to do any further downtime to catch up with to figure out where you want to invest your money points, and then move on to Autumn 1 as you guys depart for Crag.
Okay.
You would take a boat there, so you'd have some downtime. So yeah,
Okay.
you can count that as complete and figure out a new one for next agenda steps.
Okay. I will do so then.
I pinky promise to you, I knock on wood, I solemnly swear, you will not be ambushed by Bendito burritos or water ninjas on your way back with the royal party. It's good. You're gonna leave the Fogveil.
Okay, cool.
So he says.
Mhm.
No, I pinky promised. We're good.
Oh, and you never break a pinky promise.
Cross my heart and hope to die. It sounds like there are no further missions.
I didn't have one written down today.
The battle against the Ivory Corsairs is not here yet.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
We're working on it.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried.
So, yeah, that means we'll be taking a little break, and when we come back, you guys will get to do a little visit to Tokovig, where you'll learn some stuff, decide if you need to put a guy on your hit list, move what column he's in on the hit list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We're playing
He's on a list, definitely. It's just a question of if we need to get rid of him. And then after that, it'll be, prepping for the Fogveil, and not the Fogveil specifically. You know what I mean? The Ivory Islands. I'm hungry.
He hungry.
Thank you very much for listening, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye. This has been Rain.
Agree.
Good night.